If you've ever set a goal and found yourself losing steam before you got anywhere, you're not alone. Most of us have tried to chase big dreams only to feel stuck, frustrated, or overwhelmed along the way. That's because focusing just on goals can leave you waiting for results that might not come quickly or easily. What if there was a better way to make real progress every day without relying on willpower or motivation that fades? This is where setting systems comes in. Simple, daily habits and routines that build your future step by step. These systems don't just help you reach goals, they change the way you live, making growth natural and steady. In this video, you'll discover how to create powerful systems that support your personal growth, keep you consistent, and help you build a life you truly want. Stick around, because this approach can transform how you improve yourself, starting today. Chapter 1. Build daily habits that align with your future. Most people spend their lives reacting. They wake up, follow a routine they never chose, go through a day they barely remember, and then repeat it the next morning without question. The reason life feels stuck for many is not because they aren't trying, but because they're repeating actions that don't reflect where they truly want to go. If you look closely, you'll see that your future is not waiting for you somewhere in the distance. It's forming right now in the quiet habits you choose or ignore each day. What you do consistently is not just what you become. It is who you are. That's why building daily habits that align with your future is not just a strategy. It's a necessity. You don't need to change your whole life in one day. In fact, that's a dangerous way of thinking. It creates pressure. It causes people to chase dramatic shifts, only to burn out and return to the comfort of old patterns. What works instead is far more quiet, far more steady, and much more powerful. It's the act of choosing one habit at a time, one action at a time, and building a life that doesn't rely on willpower or inspiration, but on structure and repetition. When you think about the person you want to become, you might imagine someone healthier, more focused, more confident, more capable. But none of those traits appear by accident. Confidence is built through the act of doing things even when you're unsure. Focus comes from learning to eliminate distractions and stick to your plan. Health is not a gift. It's the result of choosing good food, rest, and movement over and over again. So the real question is not what you want, it's what you're doing daily to reflect it. To begin building daily habits that align with your future, you must start with clarity. You need to define what that future looks like, not in vague language or big dreams, but in specific practical terms. Imagine the version of you 5 years from now. Where do you live? How do you carry yourself? What do you do with your time? How do you think, speak, and respond to stress? That vision gives you direction, but the habits you build now determine whether or not you ever meet that version of yourself. Clarity gives you a filter. You can start asking, does this habit belong in my future? If not, it has no place in your present. This mindset doesn't demand you be harsh or extreme. It simply requires that you be honest. The person you want to become has different habits than the person you are today. That means some things must go. You can't expect a better life while continuing to choose what weakens you. You can't want peace while feeding chaos. You can't demand growth while clinging to comfort. Every habit you build must be a vote in the direction of your ideal self. Many people get overwhelmed because they think they have to build every new habit at once. That's a mistake. The more you try to change at once, the more likely you'll fail. The brain resists too much change. Instead, start with one habit. Make it small enough to succeed and consistent enough to grow. It doesn't matter how unimpressive it looks to others. What matters is that you do it every single day until it becomes a part of you. That is how change happens, through repetition, not intensity. For example, if you want to become someone who reads more, start with 5 pages a day, not a book a week, not a reading marathon, 5 pages. If you want to become fit, begin with a 15-minute walk, not a gym membership or a complicated workout plan. Just walk. If you want to be someone who wakes up early, move your alarm back by 15 minutes and use that time intentionally. Drink water, reflect, plan, and repeat. When you prove to yourself that you can follow through on one thing, you build trust, and that trust fuels momentum. One of the biggest lies people believe is that change has to be exciting to be effective. But the truth is, real transformation is often quiet, slow, and unglamorous. There is no applause, no instant results, just you doing the work while no one is watching. That is where strength is built. That is where character forms. Anyone can set a goal. Few are willing to build a system. Systems require patience. They don't offer a quick fix. They offer a real one. To build habits that align with your future, you also need to understand the importance of identity. Most people try to change their actions without changing how they see themselves. That rarely works. Your behavior always returns to your identity. If you see yourself as someone who's lazy, no habit will stick for long. But when you start to act like the person you want to be, even in small ways, your identity begins to shift. Every time you complete the habit, you're not just changing behavior, you're proving to yourself that you are capable, disciplined, focused, and committed. Over time, you stop trying to become something and simply become it. Environment also plays a huge role in habit formation. If your surroundings pull you into distractions or temptations, you're fighting an uphill battle. So design your space for success. Put a water bottle next to your bed if you want to hydrate first thing in the morning. Leave your journal on your desk so reflection becomes automatic. Delete apps that eat your time. Add reminders where you need them most. Your environment should make good habits easier and bad habits harder. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer triggers that pull you off track. It's also important to measure the right things. Most people measure results. But in the beginning, results are inconsistent. That's why you must measure action. Did you show up today? Did you follow the system? Did you stay on track? Progress is not about outcomes. It's about effort. If you focus on what you can control, you stay grounded. You stay empowered. The system becomes your source of confidence, not the temporary highs of success. There will be days when the habit feels boring, pointless, or even frustrating. That's part of the process. But boredom is not a signal to stop. It's a sign that your system is working. You are moving past the phase of excitement into the phase of mastery. Most people quit here. They chase novelty instead of consistency. But those who endure, who stick with their system through the boredom, are the ones who see real change. Consistency is a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. And every time you follow through on your habit, you are making it easier to repeat tomorrow. That's how habits become automatic. That's how systems become a lifestyle. The discipline that feels hard today becomes second nature 6 months from now. And that's how the future is built. Not with big decisions, but with small daily ones that add up over time. You have to be willing to look at your life as a reflection of what you tolerate and what you practice. If your habits are not serving your future, change them. Not all at once, but one by one, with purpose, with structure, with commitment. You are not helpless. You are not stuck. You are capable of building something strong, stable, and meaningful. It begins with a single action, then another, then another. The future is not something you wait for. It's something you walk toward, one habit at a time. And every day you build, you are getting closer. Not because of luck, not because of talent, but because of the discipline to stay aligned. The most powerful life is not the one filled with goals and dreams. It's the one built on habits that quietly, relentlessly, and faithfully shape the path ahead. That's your task now. Build. Not for approval, not for perfection, but because your future depends on it. Your peace depends on it. Your growth, freedom, strength, and purpose, they all depend on what you do when no one is watching. So begin. Stay grounded, stay focused, and build the habits that will carry you where you truly want to go. Chapter 2. Create routines that support your personal evolution. Most people wait for change to happen before they adjust their routine, but that thinking traps them in the same cycles. The truth is the opposite. If you want to evolve, your routine must change first. What you do with your time becomes who you are. If your daily actions don't match the person you want to become, you're not evolving, you're repeating. Personal evolution is not about dramatic moments or sudden breakthroughs. It's about the quiet, repetitive structure you follow every day, even when it feels ordinary. Your routine is not just a set of tasks. It is the container that holds your values, your priorities, and your vision for the future. Creating a routine that supports your evolution begins with deciding who you no longer want to be. Before you build something new, you need to acknowledge what's no longer serving you. Start by looking at your day. Where are you spending your energy? What is draining you? What are you tolerating out of habit or fear? What patterns no longer match the person you are becoming? These are hard questions, but they are necessary. Growth begins when you stop denying what's broken and start rebuilding with intention. Most people don't have routines. They have defaults. They wake up and follow patterns that were never consciously chosen. They respond to their environment, check their phone before they even take a deep breath, rush through the morning, and spend the rest of the day reacting. That's not a routine, that's survival. If you want to evolve, you need to step out of autopilot and take control of your structure. You need to craft a routine that protects your mind, strengthens your discipline, and supports your long-term growth. The first step is to make space for self-reflection. You can't build a better routine if you don't understand what matters to you. So take time to sit with your thoughts. Think about what kind of person you're working to become. What does that person do in the first hour of their day? How do they treat their health, their mind, their priorities? What do they avoid? What do they repeat? These are not abstract questions. They are the blueprint for your routine. A strong routine doesn't just organize your day, it shapes your character. It gives you a foundation to build from. When life becomes chaotic, your routine becomes a form of stability. It reminds you of who you are and who you're becoming. It grounds you in action instead of leaving you floating in uncertainty. The structure you build today will either hold you up in difficult times or collapse when pressure arrives. The key to creating an effective routine is simplicity. Complexity kills consistency. You don't need to fill your day with dozens of tasks. You need a few core anchors that reflect your highest values. Maybe that means waking up without checking your phone. Maybe it means journaling your thoughts before the day pulls you in different directions. Maybe it's spending time in silence before the noise of the world rushes in. The details will be different for everyone, but the principle is the same. Your routine must reflect your values, not your distractions. You also need to recognize that routines are not meant to be rigid cages. They are systems that give you freedom. A well-designed routine doesn't make life feel smaller. It creates space for focus, clarity, and progress. It removes the need to constantly make decisions, which frees up your energy for meaningful work. Instead of wasting mental effort deciding what to do next, you already know. That level of clarity creates peace, and peace creates power. One of the most overlooked parts of creating a routine that supports your evolution is energy management. Many people create routines based on time instead of energy. But not all hours feel the same. You need to become aware of when you are most alert, most focused, most creative. That's when your highest value work should happen. Don't waste your strongest energy on meaningless tasks. Build your routine around your energy, not the clock. Another important aspect of a growth-oriented routine is renewal. You are not a machine. You cannot expect yourself to perform at a high level without rest and restoration. A routine that supports evolution must include moments to recharge. That means breaks, stillness, sleep, movement, deep breathing, solitude. These are not luxuries, they are necessary. If you ignore renewal, your growth will eventually stall. Your mind and body need cycles: push, rest, reflect, repeat. Without that, you burn out or drift. Personal evolution also requires that you regularly review your routine. What works now might not work later. As you grow, your needs change, so revisit your structure. Look at it honestly. Where are you slipping? What feels forced? What could be improved? Small adjustments, made consistently, create powerful changes. Don't hold on to habits just because they once helped. If a part of your routine no longer serves your growth, replace it. Evolution demands adaptation. A powerful routine also protects your boundaries. If your day is always open to interruption, distraction, or the priorities of others, you lose control over your time and your direction. You need to build in time blocks that are untouchable moments in the day that are dedicated to your highest values. That might mean a focused work session. It might mean an hour to learn, write, exercise, or reflect. These moments become your anchor points. They remind you that your life is your responsibility and your time is not up for grabs. It's important to remember that routines are not just for productivity. They are for alignment. Your routine is a reflection of what matters to you. It's a daily declaration of what you stand for. If your actions don't match your values, your life will feel off, even if you are checking boxes. So ask yourself often, is this structure helping me grow into the person I respect? Or is it helping me stay comfortable and stuck? Many people struggle to change their routine because they expect it to feel good all the time. That's not realistic. Growth requires friction. There will be mornings when you don't want to follow the plan. There will be moments when the structure feels unnecessary. But that's when your discipline is tested. You are not building a routine for when you feel great. You're building it for the days when you don't. And when you show up anyway, that's when your character gets stronger. If you want your routine to last, it has to be built around purpose, not pressure. You're not doing this to impress anyone or check off a list. You're doing it because you are serious about your future. That kind of mindset shifts everything. When you see your routine as a tool for personal evolution, you stop resenting it. You start respecting it. You see it as the path forward, not something you have to do, but something you get to do to grow. The person you are becoming is already shaped by the routine you follow today. If you want to evolve, your structure must evolve first. The day doesn't begin with what happens around you. It begins with what you choose to repeat. Every action, every block of time, every boundary you protect, it all becomes part of the story you're writing with your life. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to do everything right. But you do need to commit to a routine that respects your potential. You need to show up for yourself before the world pulls you in every direction. You need to create space, build structure, and follow through even when it's hard. In time, your routine becomes more than a habit. It becomes a source of strength, a reminder that no matter what's happening outside of you, you are in control of your direction, and that is where personal evolution begins. Not with more goals or more pressure, but with a better system, repeated one honest day at a time. Chapter 3: Design your environment to encourage better behavior. Behavior does not happen in isolation. Every action you take is shaped by what surrounds you. The people in your life, the objects in your space, the sounds in the background, the tools you keep within reach, these all influence what you do without needing your permission. When you understand this, you stop blaming yourself for every mistake and start taking responsibility for the spaces you live in. Change begins by designing an environment that supports who you want to become, instead of constantly fighting against what distracts or tempts you. It's not about having more willpower, it's about removing the need for willpower. Many people try to improve their behavior by focusing only on motivation. They think if they just feel more inspired, they'll make better choices. But the environment you live in quietly guides your actions far more often than your feelings do. If your phone is the first thing you see in the morning, it will shape how your day begins. If junk food is visible every time you walk into the kitchen, it becomes your default snack. If your workspace is cluttered and noisy, your focus will suffer no matter how disciplined you try to be. This isn't weakness, it's design. And the good news is, you can redesign it. Improving your behavior starts with awareness. Look at your surroundings honestly. Observe how your space influences your choices. Notice which habits feel easier and which feel harder based on your environment. You'll quickly find patterns. If your room is dark and chaotic, it's harder to feel energized in the morning. If your books are hidden in a drawer, but your television remote is always on the table, guess which one gets more use? You are constantly being nudged by your environment, whether you realize it or not. To create change, begin by making better behavior obvious. Don't just intend to eat healthier, put fresh food in visible places. Prepare meals in advance and place them where you can see them quickly. If you want to read more, leave a book where you sit in the evening. If you want to move your body more often, place your walking shoes near the door. Reduce the distance between the habit and your awareness. The brain naturally follows paths of least resistance, so shorten that path for the behaviors you want to encourage. At the same time, make unhelpful behaviors less convenient. If your phone steals your attention at night, place it in another room. If certain apps are pulling you away from your work, delete them or log out. If you find yourself scrolling mindlessly, use apps that block distractions during certain hours. This is not about punishing yourself, it's about designing friction. When a behavior becomes slightly harder to access, your brain looks for alternatives, and that's your opportunity to insert something better. Visual cues are powerful. What you see regularly becomes what you normalize. If your space reflects order, you're more likely to act with clarity. If your space reflects chaos, your mind mirrors it. Start with your immediate surroundings. Clean your workspace. Simplify your bedroom. Organize your kitchen. Remove what's unnecessary. Create physical order, not for perfection, but to reduce mental noise. A calm space supports a calm mind. Designing your environment isn't just about things. It's also about people. Who you allow into your space influences how you act, what you believe, and how you see yourself. Surround yourself with people who live the way you want to live. If your environment is filled with negativity, gossip, or low standards, you will unconsciously absorb those patterns. But if you consistently expose yourself to people who are disciplined, thoughtful, and focused, their energy will shape you in ways you don't even notice at first. Create spaces in your day where distractions are not allowed. Maybe that's a room where your phone never enters. Maybe it's a time block in your calendar, reserved for focused work. Maybe it's a section of your home that exists only for quiet thought, movement, or reflection. When you design your environment with intention, you reduce the burden of constant decision-making. You create zones of clarity where action feels natural and aligned. Routines become stronger when your environment supports them. If you want to build a morning routine, start by designing the first thing you see when you wake up. If your alarm is across the room, you have to move to turn it off. That movement breaks inertia. If your water bottle is already filled and next to your bed, you'll hydrate before doing anything else. If your journal is open on the desk, reflection becomes the natural next step. These small touches shape the direction of your day. Environment also supports emotional regulation. If your space is full of noise, clutter, and distractions, your nervous system stays activated. You may not notice it, but your stress level rises, your focus drops, and your energy drains. A peaceful environment creates space to pause, breathe, and respond thoughtfully instead of reacting out of habit. You don't need expensive tools or perfect design. You need order, simplicity, purpose. Change becomes sustainable when you stop relying on effort and start building structure. When your environment does some of the heavy lifting for you, growth feels less forced. You no longer have to remind yourself constantly. You just follow what's already been prepared. A healthy meal is already in the fridge. Your workout clothes are already laid out. Your to-do list is already visible. You have already decided, and that decision is built into the space around you. Designing your environment is an act of self-respect. It shows that you take your future seriously. It proves that you're not just waiting for better behavior to appear. You're creating the conditions for it to thrive. Every drawer you organize, every digital distraction you remove, every object you place with intention, it all becomes a part of your system. A system that does not depend on inspiration but on design. Behavior does not need to be perfect. You will still have off days. You will still face resistance. But when your environment supports your direction, recovery becomes faster. You don't fall as far. You don't stay lost as long. Your surroundings become a soft structure that keeps you aligned even when your mind is tired. This is the kind of support most people never realize they need. They blame themselves for poor focus, low motivation, or weak habits, when in reality they are living in spaces that quietly sabotage their efforts. They are surrounded by triggers for behaviors they're trying to outgrow and starved of reminders for the life they want to create. You don't have to live like that. You can take control. You can shape your surroundings until they reflect the life you are working toward. Not all at once. Not perfectly, but intentionally. Remove what pulls you backward. Keep what moves you forward. Build a space that serves your purpose, not your impulses. And over time, your behavior will begin to match your environment, because you designed it. Chapter 4. Track progress through actions, not final outcomes. Most people measure progress by results, by numbers, by achievements, by visible milestones. But the truth is, real progress is often quiet. It doesn't show up on a scoreboard every day. It happens in the small choices you make consistently, especially when no one is watching. The world celebrates the final product. But your growth is revealed in what you repeatedly do, not in the occasional outcome. When you focus only on results, you miss the deeper transformation that's happening in the process. Tracking actions instead of outcomes changes your entire relationship with growth. Outcomes are delayed. They're influenced by variables outside your control. You can work hard and still face setbacks. You can do everything right and still not see the result you hoped for, at least not immediately. But when you track your behavior, you gain something more powerful. Evidence of commitment. You begin to see what you're actually building, regardless of how long it takes to arrive. If you write every morning, even if no one reads it yet, you're building a practice. If you exercise daily, even without dramatic physical change, you're becoming consistent. If you save a small amount each week, even if the balance feels insignificant, you're training discipline. These actions compound. They shape your identity. They separate the person who waits from the person who creates. The problem with tracking only final results is that it leaves you vulnerable to discouragement. If you step on the scale and see no change, you may feel like giving up. If you post your work online and get no response, you may think it's worthless. But these snapshots are not the full story. They don't show the days you showed up despite doubt. They don't reveal the effort behind the scenes. They only capture a moment, not the momentum. Behavior is something you can control. Effort is something you can repeat. That's why tracking your actions builds confidence. It keeps the focus on what's within reach. If your goal is to become healthier, track your meals, your workouts, your sleep. If your goal is to grow creatively, track your writing sessions, your brainstorming hours, your learning time. Create a system where the act of doing becomes the win. When progress is tied to action, you stay motivated longer because you see success every time you show up. There's also a deeper mental shift that happens when you track what you do instead of waiting for results. You begin to trust yourself more. You stop depending on motivation to keep going. You start to identify as someone who follows through. That identity matters. It becomes your foundation. Even if the path feels slow, you can look back and see proof. You did the work, you kept going, you didn't quit. That's what builds resilience. People who obsess over outcomes often compare themselves to others. They see someone else's highlight and feel like they're behind. But comparison fades when your focus is on your own actions. You're no longer racing someone else. You're keeping a promise to yourself. You're not chasing validation. You're building something real, brick by brick, rep by rep, sentence by sentence. One of the most practical ways to stay consistent is to track simple, repeatable behaviors, not complicated systems, not high-pressure targets. Just clear, honest records of what you did today. Did you stretch, write, meditate, practice? If so, you made progress. If not, you learn from it, adjust, and continue. The goal is not perfection, it's presence. It's being involved in your own growth, day after day. You don't need to broadcast this to anyone. You don't need likes or approval. This is for you, to remind yourself that you are doing the work, even when it's boring or difficult. You are earning your transformation. You are proving to yourself again and again that you are not waiting for life to change. You are participating in that change. There's power in recording small wins. They anchor you during hard days. They remind you that effort matters, that change is happening even if it's invisible right now. When you feel stuck, these logs tell a different story. You are moving forward, slowly and surely. It might not feel dramatic, but it is meaningful. It is how lasting change is made, not in explosions, but in patterns. You must also remember that results will come, but they are never instant. They are the echo of hundreds of small actions done well. Don't rush the echo. Don't panic when it hasn't arrived yet. Keep focusing on what you can do today. That's all you can control. That's where your energy belongs, not in wishing for progress, but in choosing it through your behavior, again and again. People who make real change don't just set goals, they build systems. Systems based on action, not emotion. Systems that work even when they don't feel inspired. Systems that make the next step obvious. They remove guesswork. They reduce the friction between intention and movement. And the more you use them, the less you have to rely on willpower. So if you want to know how far you've come, don't look at what you've gained. Look at what you've done. Look at the patterns you've created. Look at the choices you've repeated. Look at the days you wanted to give up, but didn't. That's your true measurement. That's where your strength lives, not in a number, but in your behavior. You are allowed to be proud of the work no one sees. You are allowed to celebrate every step forward, even the small ones. You are allowed to believe that your consistent actions will eventually shape the life you want, because they will. Progress belongs to those who show up, not just to those who succeed quickly. And the ones who win in the long run are the ones who stay in the process, long after the excitement wears off. So let your progress be about action. Let your measurement be about commitment. Let your focus be on the doing, not just the outcome. Because if you stay consistent with the right behaviors, the results will take care of themselves, and when they come, you'll realize they were never the real reward. The real reward was who you became along the way. Chapter 5. Replace wishful thinking with proven daily systems. Most people spend their lives hoping for things to get better. They want to wake up one day with more confidence, more energy, more success, and more control over their lives. But hope alone doesn't make that happen. Wanting something is not the same as building something. You can wish for change, or you can create it through deliberate systems that remove guesswork and replace it with structure. A life built on systems moves forward with clarity. A life built on wishful thinking drifts. If you rely on motivation, you will be inconsistent. Motivation fades. It fluctuates with mood, energy, and circumstances. Some days you feel ready, other days you don't. But systems don't care how you feel. They work anyway. A system is a set of actions that you follow daily, whether you're in the mood or not. And over time it produces results, not because you hoped for them, but because you kept showing up and doing the work without needing to feel inspired. Wishful thinking keeps people stuck in the idea stage. They say, "I want to get healthy," but never decide what time they'll exercise. They say, "I want to be more focused," but don't build routines that eliminate distractions. They imagine a better version of themselves, but don't break that vision into repeatable habits. Thinking about change feels good temporarily, but it doesn't build momentum. Systems are the difference between fantasizing and executing. A proven daily system is simple, repeatable, and tied to behavior you can control. It doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, the best systems are usually boring. They don't rely on intensity. They rely on consistency. If you want to become a better writer, a daily system might be writing for 45 minutes before checking your phone. If you want to improve your physical health, your system could be stretching every morning, walking in the afternoon, and preparing meals in advance. These steps are not glamorous, but they are what create lasting change. When you focus on systems instead of goals, you become more resilient. Goals are fragile. If you don't reach them fast enough, you start to feel like a failure. But if you follow a system, each day becomes a small win. You don't need the final result to validate your progress. The fact that you're doing the work is the win. You build confidence, not because you're perfect, but because you're reliable. People often confuse systems with routines, but they are not quite the same. A routine is a schedule. A system is a structure that supports your values. A routine says, "I go to the gym at 6 a.m. A system says, "Every morning, I complete a task that improves my health." The system gives you flexibility when life changes. It keeps the purpose alive even if the format shifts. That's why systems are more powerful than fixed plans. They adapt, but they don't disappear. You don't need to build your system all at once. In fact, trying to overhaul your entire life in one go is a common mistake. The key is to start with one area where you feel stuck. Ask yourself what outcome you want, then reverse engineer it into small, manageable actions. Then ask, can I repeat this daily? If the answer is no, your system is too complicated. Simplify it until you can follow it on your busiest, most stressful days. If you can't do it when life is hard, it's not a sustainable system. Systems also create momentum. When you build a rhythm of completing actions every day, even small ones, you start to trust yourself more. That self-trust leads to discipline. Discipline leads to growth, and growth changes your life, not in one giant leap, but in hundreds of small steps that most people overlook. This is how success sneaks up on people, not through magic or luck, but through design. The reason many people don't follow systems is because they think they need to feel ready, but readiness is not a requirement. You don't need to believe in yourself yet. You don't need a big plan. You just need to choose one action and repeat it. Let the system carry you forward. Let it become your anchor on chaotic days. Let it be the thing you lean on when your emotions try to convince you to quit. You can still dream big. You can still have visions of a better future. But don't confuse dreaming with doing. Dreaming opens the door. Systems walk you through it. Every system you build is a quiet rebellion against passivity. It says, I will not wait for life to change. I will take part in that change. You don't need to chase motivation anymore. You need to follow your system. Whether it's exciting or not, whether it feels good or not, whether anyone else notices or not, even when results take time, your system gives you evidence that progress is happening. And if something isn't working, you don't throw away the vision, you tweak the system. You experiment, you observe, you adjust. But you never go back to hoping without acting. You stay inside the process. That process becomes your path. Eventually, the system becomes part of who you are. You no longer think about whether to do the action, you just do it. It becomes a natural part of your life, like brushing your teeth or getting dressed. At that point, you've internalized the behavior. That's real transformation. When the change is no longer something you do, it's something you are. So instead of writing down another goal you'll forget in a week, build a system today, one action, one schedule, one structure that supports the life you say you want. Stick to it. Let it evolve. Let it guide you through hard seasons. Let it simplify your decisions. Let it turn discipline into a habit and habit into identity. Wishful thinking delays your progress. Systems activate it. Choose the path that moves, not the one that waits. Choose structure over fantasy. Choose action over daydreaming. Choose a system that gets you where you want to go. And then use it every day until it becomes second nature. That's how real change happens. Quietly, repeatedly, reliably, and always within reach. Chapter 6. Practice consistency, even when motivation disappears. There will be days when you don't feel like showing up. Days when your energy dips, your focus scatters, and everything inside you says, maybe tomorrow. It's in those exact moments that consistency matters most. Not because it feels good, but because that's how you prove to yourself that your actions are not tied to your emotions. You're not ruled by impulse or inspiration. You've chosen to operate from commitment, not convenience. And that shift changes everything. Motivation is unstable. It fades, it returns, and then it disappears again without warning. If you rely on it, you'll start strong and stop halfway. You'll push when things feel exciting, but you'll stall when the thrill wears off. That's the cycle most people live in, bursts of energy followed by long stretches of inaction. But progress doesn't live in those bursts. It lives in the quiet hours of routine. It lives in the repeated choice to do the work even when no part of you feels like doing it. You don't become consistent by waiting for the perfect mindset. You become consistent by building a rhythm that doesn't depend on how you feel. That rhythm comes from deciding in advance what matters to you, and then protecting that decision with actions, not with feelings, not with promises, not with wishful thinking. Feelings will trick you, promises will fade, but actions done daily build patterns that hold steady even when your drive falls apart. Some people confuse consistency with perfection, but that's not the point. You don't have to do things flawlessly. You just have to keep doing them. Consistency doesn't mean every day is your best day. It means you don't disappear when the day gets hard. It means you don't let a bad hour turn into a wasted day. You might move slower some days. You might struggle more than usual, but you don't quit. You show up even if it's with less strength. You don't break the chain. That's what makes the difference. It's easy to be dedicated when things go your way. When the environment supports you, when people cheer you on, when results come quickly, it's natural to keep moving. But what defines your strength is what you do when nothing around you is helping. When no one's watching, when you're tired, when you don't see results yet, when every part of you wants to skip the work just this once. Consistency isn't built in easy times, it's forged in those moments of resistance. That's where your identity is shaped. You won't always notice progress right away. Sometimes it'll feel like nothing is changing. You'll look at your efforts and wonder if they even matter. But that's where most people make the mistake of quitting too soon. They assume that because they can't see the results, the work must be pointless. But progress doesn't always show up in obvious ways. Sometimes it's subtle, quiet, internal. Your discipline is growing, your standards are rising, your ability to keep a promise to yourself is strengthening. And those changes matter more than any quick external result ever could. The reason consistency is so powerful is because it turns effort into momentum. One day of action might not change your life, but weeks and months of repeated effort create something much harder to break. The more you repeat the behavior, the less effort it takes to continue. What was once a struggle becomes a habit. What felt unnatural becomes automatic. And once you reach that point, staying on track becomes easier than starting over. There will always be distractions, excuses, and emotions trying to derail you. That's a given, but you don't need to remove them. You need to outlast them. You need to practice doing the work even when your mind tells you there's no point. Because your mind isn't always telling you the truth. It's telling you what's comfortable, what's familiar, what keeps you safe from discomfort. But growth isn't comfortable. Change isn't familiar. If you want to evolve, you have to act in defiance of those impulses. You don't need to do everything right. You just need to keep doing something that moves you forward. Even a small step is better than standing still. Even a weak effort is better than no effort. Because each time you push through resistance, you're building a stronger version of yourself. One that doesn't fold under pressure. One that can rely on action, not mood. That's the kind of strength that sustains real change. One of the most effective things you can do is reduce your dependency on motivation. By removing decision points. Decide once, not every day. If you've decided that you'll work on your craft for an hour every morning, don't ask yourself whether you feel like it when you wake up. Just start. Don't negotiate. Don't delay. Don't search for reasons to postpone. Just begin. Once you've started, momentum takes care of the rest. The hardest part is almost always the first 5 minutes. Consistency isn't about doing more. It's about doing enough. Often, it's not about intensity. It's about longevity. You don't win by pushing hard once and collapsing. You win by staying in motion longer than anyone else. That's how you outlast the noise, the failure, and the doubt, not with bursts of motivation, but with steady action, one day at a time. There will be moments when your consistency will feel boring. You'll wonder if you're doing enough. You'll be tempted to chase something new, something faster, something louder, but that's exactly when you need to stay the course. The process doesn't need to be exciting, it just needs to be effective. Boredom is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that you're no longer relying on novelty to keep going. That's real discipline. That's when the work starts to go deep. Eventually, people will look at you and say you're lucky, or talented, or naturally disciplined. They won't see the days you showed up without motivation. They won't see the times you wanted to quit, but didn't. They'll only see the outcome. But you'll know the truth. That consistency, not passion, not luck, not timing, was the real reason behind your transformation. You don't need to wait for motivation to come back. You don't need to feel like it. You just need to begin. Again and again, with purpose, with clarity, with the quiet knowledge that the real power isn't in what you feel, it's in what you do when the feeling disappears. That's where the real change begins. That's where the foundation is built. That's where your future takes shape. Chapter 7. Measure growth through effort, not results achieved. Most people are taught to measure their worth by the outcomes they achieve. How much money they make, how many goals they hit, how fast they succeed. But this mindset creates pressure that crushes growth, because outcomes are not entirely in your control. Effort is. When you shift your focus from what you got to what you gave, you start to build something stronger than temporary success. You build resilience. You build self-respect. You build the kind of growth that lasts long after any external reward fades away. There are seasons when your results won't reflect how hard you're trying. You'll put in the hours, the discipline, the focus, and still feel like you're falling short. It's in those moments that you have to make a choice. Either you measure your growth by the scoreboard that isn't moving fast enough, or you choose to see your effort as the real progress. The truth is, the work you're doing now may not pay off in obvious ways right away, but it's never wasted. Effort compounds beneath the surface long before it shows on the outside. Every time you give your best, even when it doesn't lead to instant success, you're expanding your capacity. You're learning how to stay committed without applause. You're growing in patience, in mental strength, in your ability to stay grounded under uncertainty. These are not small wins. These are the invisible bricks that build the foundation of a life that doesn't crumble every time things don't go as planned. When you only chase results, you start to tie your self-worth to performance. And the danger in that is simple. If the outcome is disappointing, you feel like a failure. But if you measure yourself by the effort you put in, you stay in control. You don't rely on the world's validation to feel proud of your progress. You rely on the knowledge that you gave everything you could today, and that is enough. Because if you keep showing up with that same intention, the outcomes will eventually come. But even if they don't, you've still grown into someone better. And that is the real goal. So many people give up because they don't see the payoff quickly. They think their effort isn't working, when in reality, the results are just not visible yet. Think about it. When you go to the gym, you don't expect to be stronger after one workout. When you plant a seed, you don't expect it to grow overnight. Why do we expect that in our goals? It's because we're conditioned to only care about outcomes. But real progress happens in silence. It happens when no one is watching. It happens through repetition, not rewards. The discipline to keep going despite no immediate result is one of the rarest strengths you can develop, and that strength only grows when you stop chasing quick wins and start valuing consistent effort. Every time you act in alignment with your values, even when no success follows, you train your brain to prioritize the process. And when your mind learns that process is the point, everything else becomes easier. You don't panic when things go slow. You don't crumble when progress stalls. You stay steady because you know the work still matters. Some days, your best effort will look like massive progress. Other days, it will feel like survival. But if you keep showing up honestly, without faking it, without rushing it, you're already succeeding. Growth isn't about how many victories you rack up. It's about how many times you decide to keep going. Every attempt, every practice, every failure you face with focus and effort adds a layer to your strength. It teaches you who you are, and that lesson is far more valuable than a single win. There is a difference between control and influence. You can't always control the result, but you can influence the path by showing up with energy and intention. Focus on what you can influence. That's your attitude, your commitment, your consistency. When you learn to value effort over outcome, you release the stress of having to prove yourself to the world. You start living in integrity with your own values, not someone else's scoreboard. This shift is hard at first, especially if you've been taught to only celebrate the finish line. But once you break free from that mindset, you unlock a new level of freedom. You no longer need external proof to know you're growing. You feel it in your persistence. You feel it in your focus. You feel it in the way you keep moving, even when progress is invisible. That internal shift creates a kind of quiet confidence that no outside failure can shake. When you reflect on your progress, ask better questions. Not, did I win, but did I show up fully? Not, did I get results, but did I give real effort? This kind of reflection puts you in control of your own growth. You don't have to wait for success to feel good about yourself. You just have to look at the path you're walking and know you're giving it all you've got. That kind of ownership is rare, but it's the most powerful thing you can build. You don't need to outperform anyone. You don't need to be ahead of a schedule that was never real to begin with. You just need to stay honest with yourself. Were you focused today? Did you try with everything you had? Did you take one step forward even when it felt hard? That's what matters. That's how you grow. Not in giant leaps, not in trophies or likes or applause, but in the steady, quiet act of doing your best again and again. And as you keep doing that, something incredible starts to happen. You realize that the process itself is making you stronger than any result ever could. You realize that you're becoming more disciplined, more focused, more patient. You stop needing instant success because you've built something deeper. Trust in yourself. Trust that your effort is never wasted. Trust that every small act is a brick in the wall you're building. That's how you create real, lasting change. Not from chasing outcomes, but from giving consistent effort with a clear heart. In the end, results will come and go. Some goals you'll hit, others you won't. That's life. But effort, that's always in your hands. And when you learn to find pride in that alone, you become unstoppable. Not because everything always works out, but because you've learned how to grow, how to persist, and how to keep walking forward no matter what the scoreboard says. That's what real growth looks like, and no one can take that from you. Chapter 8. Automate small decisions to reduce mental overload. Most people don't realize how much energy they waste on decisions that don't matter. From the moment you wake up, your brain is pulled in dozens of directions. What to wear, what to eat, when to start work, whether to check your phone first or take a shower. These small choices pile up fast, draining the mental clarity you need for the things that actually move your life forward. It's not just the big decisions that burn you out, it's the hundreds of small ones that never stop. The solution isn't to become more disciplined with every decision, it's to eliminate the need to make them in the first place. When you automate the small things, you free your mind to focus on what counts. You stop spending energy on repeat choices and start channeling it into growth, creativity, and clear thinking. You might think that automating your morning or your meals or your schedule sounds rigid, but in truth, it brings you more freedom. It allows you to move through your day with less hesitation and more direction. You're not overthinking every detail. You've already decided once, and now you simply follow through. Think about how much smoother your life would feel if you didn't start your day in a state of uncertainty. No debating over what to wear, no questioning your breakfast, no wondering what to do first. Instead, everything has a flow, a system, a rhythm. Your mind wakes up knowing what to do next. That structure lowers stress and reduces decision fatigue. You don't have to keep using willpower just to get started. You've made the smart choice ahead of time, and now it's automatic. The key is not to complicate this process. Start small. Choose one area of your life where decisions keep draining your focus. Maybe it's your wardrobe. Create a simple rotation that removes the guesswork. Maybe it's lunch. Decide on 3 healthy meals you like and stick to those on rotation. Maybe it's your workday structure. Block off time for deep work, errands, breaks, and protect that schedule. When you no longer have to decide every single time, your brain gets lighter. You feel more in control, not less. You don't need to micromanage your life. You need to reduce the noise, because when your brain is constantly interrupted by little decisions, it's harder to access clarity, discipline, and peace. And once your mental energy is low, every task feels harder than it really is. That's why simplifying your routines is so powerful. It helps you conserve your decision-making energy for moments that actually require thoughtful choices, like solving a complex problem or making a meaningful change. Most people resist routine because they think it kills spontaneity. But the truth is, spontaneity thrives when your core systems are strong. When your day has structure, you don't waste time in confusion. You know what's already set. And that makes it easier to be flexible when it matters. You don't feel like you're barely keeping up. You feel like you're ahead, because you've built your day around ease and efficiency. That sense of flow comes from deciding once, not 20 times. Your mental bandwidth is limited, whether you like it or not. If you spend it on minor tasks, there's less available for the meaningful work. That's not a matter of willpower. It's biology. Every decision takes a toll. If your mind is cluttered with constant small choices, your ability to stay calm, focused, and sharp diminishes. But if you clear those choices in advance, you show up to the day with more mental strength, not less. That's not just helpful, it's essential if you want to do anything with real depth. Automating your decisions doesn't make you robotic. It makes you intentional. You're not reacting to the day as it hits you, you're designing it in advance. That kind of preparation creates momentum. You're not wondering what to do next. You're not second-guessing simple actions. You're not negotiating with yourself. You just act, and that confidence comes from knowing the small stuff is already handled. You can now focus your mind on what truly deserves your energy. Most people delay important work because their minds are weighed down by low-level friction. They say they're tired, or busy, or distracted, but often they're just mentally overloaded by too many micro decisions. Cut that load, create systems, choose simplicity over chaos. You'll notice your mental clarity rise almost instantly. With fewer choices to make, your stress drops. Your direction sharpens. You start doing more of what matters and less of what doesn't. This isn't about perfection. You don't need to automate every detail. But the more you reduce repeated choices, the more brain power you have left for deep focus and intentional action. You'll feel less anxious because you're not managing 100 small tasks in your head. You'll feel more productive because your time isn't eaten up by indecision. You'll feel more capable because you're not burning energy on things that don't matter. Some people think this level of structure is boring, but boring is underrated. Predictability in your routines creates space for creativity in your work, in your relationships, and in your vision. You don't have to constantly be in motion or reinventing the wheel to feel alive. Often, the most powerful growth comes when you slow down the noise, clear the clutter, and give your mind a break from managing chaos. It's not lazy to reduce your decisions. It's smart. It's how you build sustainable discipline. Because the less energy you waste on the basics, the more energy you have for excellence. And over time, that advantage compounds. The person who doesn't have to think about what time they wake up, what they eat, or what they do first each morning will always outperform the one who has to battle themselves before every action. Because the first person has created space for momentum, and momentum wins over motivation every single time. You can choose ease without choosing laziness. You can build systems without losing your freedom. You can make your life lighter without making it shallow. The goal is not to become mechanical. The goal is to stop wasting energy on what doesn't matter, so you can give more energy to what does. That's how you stop spinning in circles and start building forward. There's no need to chase complex productivity systems. Just simplify what you repeat. Automate what's predictable. Decide once, then act without resistance. If you do this consistently, your life will feel calmer, your mind will feel clearer, and your actions will feel more intentional. You'll stop drowning in little choices and start rising with clarity and purpose. That's not just a productivity trick, it's a way of life that protects your energy and multiplies your power. Chapter 9. Set identity-based habits that shape who you become. True change begins when your actions reflect the person you believe you are. Habits tied to identity carry a power that goes beyond simple behavior modification. They shape the core of who you become. When you create habits based on your values and sense of self, every choice you make reinforces that identity. This means you don't just act differently for the sake of change. You become different naturally, effortlessly, and sustainably. This is the essence of identity-based habits. Most people focus on what they want to achieve, but they forget to ask who they want to be. The moment you answer that question honestly, everything changes. When you see yourself as a disciplined person, you begin to make decisions that support discipline without overthinking. When you identify as someone who cares about health, you naturally prioritize better food and exercise. Your habits then become evidence of your identity rather than a burden. This creates alignment inside your mind, making your efforts feel purposeful and authentic. Building identity-based habits requires clarity about your values. What kind of person do you want to be? What traits do you admire? Take time to reflect deeply on this. Without this clarity, habits can feel disconnected from your true self and harder to maintain. Once you define your desired identity, ask yourself what small actions a person like that would take daily. These actions become your new habits, anchored in who you are becoming, not just what you want to accomplish. When habits are linked to identity, they shift your mindset. You stop asking, "What's the outcome?" and start asking, who am I becoming by doing this? This reframing makes it easier to stay consistent because your behavior is no longer external pressure, it's an internal affirmation. You don't have to force yourself to act. You act because it's consistent with your self-image. This removes much of the struggle, hesitation and doubt that come from trying to maintain habits that feel alien to who you think you are. Every habit you repeat is a vote for the type of person you want to be. If you write daily, you are a writer. If you choose patience in frustration, you are a calm person. If you keep promises to yourself, you become reliable. These small votes add up quickly. Over time, your repeated habits sculpt your identity until the person you want to be and the person you are become one. This is why identity matters more than goals or outcomes. When your identity supports your habits, success becomes inevitable. Sometimes it's tempting to rely on motivation or external rewards to push you through habits, but that's fragile. Identity-based habits don't depend on outside validation. They rest on internal consistency. You act because that's what someone like you does. This inner alignment builds resilience against setbacks and distractions. When you experience failure, you don't see it as proof that you're a failure. You see it as a challenge to return to your habits and reaffirm your identity. Creating identity-based habits also means being honest with yourself about your current identity. Change doesn't happen overnight. If you don't feel like the person you want to be right now, start where you are. Take small steps that reflect the identity you wish to grow into. Each small success rewires your brain and shifts your self-perception. It's a gradual process of becoming rather than sudden transformation. Patience with this process is part of building lasting change. Another important aspect is to guard your habits from comparison. Your identity is personal and unique. It doesn't depend on how others behave or what others achieve. When you base your habits on who you want to be, you avoid the trap of measuring yourself against external standards. You follow your own path, rooted in your values. This freedom helps maintain your habits even when the world around you is chaotic or distracting. Accountability is stronger when linked to identity. When you see yourself as a responsible person, you hold yourself to that standard naturally. You don't need external pressure. Your habits become a reflection of your integrity. This self-accountability builds trust within yourself, which is critical for long-term success. You begin to respect your word more, and that respect fuels further action and growth. When challenges arise, identity-based habits provide a firm foundation. If your goal was just to lose weight or earn a promotion, setbacks might shake your motivation. But if your identity is built around being healthy or disciplined, you return to your habits with less resistance. You see setbacks as temporary and part of the journey, not as a reason to quit. Your identity keeps you anchored through the ups and downs. It's important to celebrate the identity shifts that come with habit formation. When you recognize that you are changing at a fundamental level, it boosts confidence and commitment. Reflect regularly on how your habits are reshaping your self-image. Notice how your thoughts, actions, and feelings align more with the person you want to be. This awareness builds momentum and helps you stay connected to your purpose. One way to strengthen identity-based habits is through positive reinforcement. Acknowledge your efforts and the person you're becoming, even in small ways. This could be journaling about your growth, sharing your progress with trusted friends, or simply reminding yourself that your habits are proof of your evolving identity. These affirmations help embed your new self-image deeper into your subconscious, making the habits feel even more natural. Remember, identity-based habits are not about perfection. They are about progression. No one becomes their ideal self overnight. Mistakes, slip-ups, and doubts are part of the process. What matters is that you keep returning to the habits that support your identity. Each time you do, you reinforce the belief in who you are and who you're becoming. Over time, these repeated actions become the foundation of a life aligned with your deepest values. This approach to habit formation leads to freedom from external validation and fleeting motivation. It cultivates a mindset of ownership and integrity. Your habits become a reflection of your character rather than a checklist of tasks. When that happens, growth feels natural and sustainable. You become someone who acts with purpose, not because you have to, but because it's who you are. You don't need to chase dramatic changes or grand achievements to transform your life. The quiet, steady cultivation of identity-based habits builds a new self from the inside out. It's a deep form of personal evolution that lasts beyond trends, distractions, and obstacles. It's the foundation for lasting success and fulfillment. Start by defining who you want to be. Choose small, daily habits that align with that identity. Practice them consistently. Notice how your thoughts and feelings shift. Be patient and kind with yourself during the process. Over time, you will realize that the person you see in the mirror is changing. You're becoming the person you always wanted to be. That's the power of identity-based habits. Chapter 10. Start small actions that compound over the years. Small, consistent actions might seem insignificant on any single day, but when repeated over months and years, they create extraordinary results. The power of compounding works not only in finance, but in every area of life where effort accumulates. The key is starting small and trusting that each step, no matter how tiny, adds up to meaningful change. It's easy to overlook the impact of small actions because they don't produce instant gratification. However, that slow build-up is exactly what forms lasting habits and creates durable progress over time. When you break down big goals into tiny, manageable actions, you lower resistance and make it easier to start. The problem many face is thinking they need to make huge leaps immediately. This mindset leads to overwhelm and often causes people to quit before they even begin. But small actions remove that barrier. They allow you to show up without pressure, reduce fear of failure, and build momentum gradually. A single positive choice, repeated daily, can lead to profound transformation. It is important to focus on the process instead of the outcome. Focusing on long-term success or major milestones can be paralyzing because the path looks too far. Instead, concentrate on what you can do right now. This shifts your energy from worrying about the future to taking actionable steps in the present. Small habits compound quietly without fanfare, but with powerful results. When you invest in consistent daily improvements, you lay a foundation that supports growth for years ahead. Compounding growth builds exponentially. Early gains may feel slow, but they multiply over time. For example, improving your skills by just 1% every day means you double your ability in just over 2 months. These seemingly minor improvements become massive when compounded. The effect is like stacking blocks. One block alone is fragile, but a tower built brick by brick is strong and lasting. Recognizing this truth is critical to developing patience and persistence on the journey toward growth. You can start by identifying the smallest possible action related to your goal. If you want to read more, commit to reading 1 page a day. If your goal is fitness, start with just 5 minutes of movement. If improving productivity is your aim, begin with organizing your workspace for 1 minute. These tiny actions lower mental resistance and invite consistency. You are not aiming for perfection or immediate success. Your aim is steady progress that builds confidence and habit over time. Trust in the process and give yourself permission to start small. Many give up because they believe small actions won't make a difference. This belief is false and destructive. Consistency in small acts outweighs sporadic bursts of intense effort. Long-term growth depends more on frequency than intensity. When you commit to simple habits, you avoid burnout and sustain motivation longer. This steady rhythm eventually becomes part of your identity, and the effort feels natural. Measuring progress through daily actions rather than distant goals helps maintain momentum. When results seem far off, it is easy to lose hope, but tracking daily efforts shifts focus to what you can control. Celebrate each small step as a victory. This builds positive reinforcement and strengthens motivation. The cumulative effect of these victories powers your confidence and resilience against setbacks. Over time, the compounded results will reflect the dedication you've consistently shown. Small actions build self-trust. Every time you follow through on a commitment, you send a message to yourself that you can be counted on. This trust forms the foundation of discipline and self-respect. It makes it easier to take on bigger challenges later. When your confidence grows from small wins, your mindset shifts from doubt to possibility. This is the mental space where real growth accelerates and obstacles become opportunities rather than barriers. It is important to stay patient with the process. Growth rarely happens in dramatic leaps. Most change unfolds quietly and gradually. The temptation to compare yourself with others or expect fast results can derail progress. Instead, focus on your own journey and the daily actions that align with your goals. Patience combined with consistent effort is a powerful combination that creates momentum and eventual breakthrough. Building compounding habits requires a mindset that views small improvements. Instead of waiting for motivation or the perfect time, act now with what you have. Prioritize progress over perfection. Be kind with yourself when you stumble, but keep returning to your small actions. This persistence shapes your future in ways that big bursts of effort cannot. The power of compound growth rewards steady investment in your habits and daily routines. Over time, small actions lead to profound transformation in many areas of life: health, relationships, skills, mindset, and productivity. The sum of consistent daily efforts grows far beyond initial expectations. This growth creates opportunities and possibilities that seemed impossible at the beginning. The person who understands and applies the principle of compounding small actions builds a life defined by continuous improvement and resilience. Starting small also builds momentum that feeds on itself. Each success, no matter how minor, motivates you to keep going. Momentum turns small wins into bigger ones. This positive cycle creates an upward trajectory in your personal and professional growth. Momentum reduces friction and makes staying on track easier. The secret is to make each small step count and trust that the path unfolds with time and effort. In practical terms, build systems that support your small actions, create reminders, set simple daily goals, and use tools that reduce friction. Remove obstacles that prevent consistency. Surround yourself with supportive influences that encourage your habits. Design your environment to make the small actions easy and accessible. The easier you make the process, the more likely you are to stick with it and see the power of compounding in your life. Every expert you admire started with small actions repeated over time. No one begins at mastery. They begin with a commitment to start. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in a day. Choose one simple action aligned with your goals and make it a non-negotiable part of your daily routine. Over months and years, this commitment reshapes your habits, your mindset, and your identity. That is the essence of long-term success. Ultimately, The magic of starting small and compounding is that it allows you to overcome fear and overwhelm. When the future looks too big or uncertain, breaking it down into tiny manageable steps creates clarity and control. This approach keeps you moving forward even when motivation is low or challenges arise. It anchors your progress in action rather than hope or intention. The future you want is built one small action at a time. Trust that the consistent choices you make today will multiply and transform your life in the years to come. Chapter 11. Focus on the process instead of the destination. The idea of focusing on the process rather than the destination is a powerful shift that changes how you experience growth and achievement. Most people get caught up in chasing results, believing that once they reach a goal, they will finally be satisfied or happy. Yet, this approach often leads to frustration and burnout because the destination is always somewhere ahead and never fully within reach. When you turn your attention to the process, the daily work, the habits, the systems, you find a more sustainable and fulfilling way to grow. When you focus on the process, you pay attention to the actions and behaviors that create progress. This means valuing consistency, effort, and learning rather than waiting for a particular outcome. You stop putting your happiness or self-worth on hold until you achieve something big. Instead, you build meaning into the everyday steps you take. This makes growth more enjoyable and keeps motivation alive even when results seem slow or uncertain. It's important to understand that the destination is a moving target. As you grow, your goals will evolve. The more you accomplish, the more you realize what truly matters, and your focus shifts. If your happiness depends solely on reaching a fixed destination, you set yourself up for disappointment. There will always be another goal, another target, or another standard to meet. The process, however, is always present. It's the constant that sustains your growth, regardless of changing circumstances. When you emphasize the process, you cultivate patience and resilience. You become less discouraged by setbacks, because they are part of the journey, not a failure of your worth. Every challenge you face offers valuable lessons and builds strength. Instead of rushing to the finish line, you learn to appreciate each moment and action as a building block for your future. This mindset allows you to stay committed without relying on fleeting bursts of motivation or external rewards. The process mindset also encourages experimentation and learning. When the focus is on results, people often become risk-averse because failure threatens their sense of success. But when you care about the process, mistakes become opportunities for growth. You try new approaches, adjust your habits, and keep moving forward without fear. This openness leads to continuous improvement and creativity. It also reduces stress because you're not judging yourself solely on outcomes, but on your effort and willingness to adapt. Developing a process-oriented approach starts by defining clear, manageable steps that align with your values. Break your big goals into smaller daily or weekly actions that contribute to progress. These steps should be realistic and focused on effort rather than perfect results. When you measure success by the actions you take, not the final achievement, you maintain momentum. Tracking your consistency in following the process builds confidence and reinforces positive habits. When you shift your focus, your relationship with time changes. Instead of feeling pressured to reach a destination quickly, you allow yourself to grow steadily and sustainably. This reduces anxiety and the temptation to take shortcuts that compromise your integrity or well-being. You become more mindful and intentional in your actions, fully engaged in the present moment. This engagement improves your performance and satisfaction because you are investing in the journey, not just the end point. A process focus helps you build discipline naturally. Discipline is easier to maintain when it's about daily commitment rather than distant rewards. You build a routine that supports consistent effort, making it harder to give up even when motivation wanes. Over time, the process itself becomes rewarding. You develop a sense of pride in your work and a habit of persistence that propels you forward. This internal drive is more powerful than any external reward or validation. The process mindset also fosters humility. You recognize that success is rarely instant or guaranteed. It requires ongoing effort, learning, and adjustment. This awareness keeps you grounded and open to growth. You avoid the trap of arrogance or impatience that can come from focusing only on outcomes. Instead, you embrace the reality of gradual progress and commit to showing up day after day, regardless of immediate results. Focusing on the process allows you to appreciate the small wins along the way. These wins might seem minor compared to the final goal, but they are essential. Celebrating progress in the moment builds morale and encourages continued effort. It reminds you that growth is a series of steps, not a single leap. Recognizing these achievements reinforces your sense of capability and motivates you to keep going. When the process becomes your focus, you naturally reduce stress and disappointment. You don't tie your worth to achievements, but to your dedication and consistency. This mindset shields you from the emotional roller coaster of success and failure. You develop emotional resilience because you're anchored in the effort you control, not the unpredictable outcomes. This stability improves your mental health and overall well-being. The process-oriented approach also changes how you view challenges. Instead of obstacles to your success, they become part of the learning curve. You see problems as puzzles to solve, rather than threats to your progress. This perspective encourages creativity and problem-solving skills. It also helps you stay calm and focused in difficult situations, which enhances your ability to overcome barriers. To cultivate this mindset, build daily rituals that focus on effort and presence. Create reminders that your value lies in the work you put in, not just the results. Use journaling or reflection to track your engagement with the process and the lessons learned. Surround yourself with people who appreciate the journey and support your commitment to growth. These practices reinforce your connection to the process and strengthen your resolve. By focusing on the process, you make self-improvement a sustainable part of life. Growth becomes a habit, not a project with an end date. You develop a lifelong practice of learning, adapting, and evolving. This approach makes it easier to navigate change, setbacks, and uncertainty. You become resilient because your identity is tied to your effort and persistence, not temporary successes. The process mindset also improves your sense of purpose. When you invest fully in the daily work, you connect more deeply with why you pursue your goals. Your actions become expressions of your values and vision. This alignment brings clarity and fulfillment, even before you reach the destination. You experience meaning and satisfaction in every step you take. Ultimately, focusing on the process shifts your experience of growth from a stressful obligation to a fulfilling journey. You stop chasing a moving target and start embracing continuous improvement. This mindset builds discipline, patience, resilience, and joy. It empowers you to keep moving forward regardless of challenges or delays. The process becomes your compass, guiding you toward lasting success and personal evolution. When you live by the process, you reclaim control over your progress. You find freedom in commitment rather than pressure in expectations. You cultivate a mindset that supports lifelong growth, balance, and well-being. This approach turns any goal into a series of meaningful actions and turns growth into a way of life that sustains you through all seasons. Chapter 12. Simplify your life by removing unnecessary goals. Life often feels more complicated than it needs to be because of the goals we set that don't truly matter to us. Carrying too many objectives at once scatters focus and drains energy, preventing real progress in what's truly important. Simplifying life by removing unnecessary goals frees mental space and builds clarity. When you eliminate distractions and commitments that don't serve your core values, you make room for meaningful growth and steady progress. This act of reduction is not about giving up ambition, but about prioritizing what aligns with your authentic self and long-term well-being. The first step to simplification is honest reflection on your current goals. Many people hold on to goals because they seem expected or impressive, not because they truly resonate. Ask yourself which goals energize you and which feel like burdens. This evaluation requires courage because it means saying no to things that might look good on paper but don't contribute to your happiness or growth. Clearing away these shoulds creates a leaner and more focused life where your actions have more impact. When you narrow your focus, you enhance your ability to commit deeply. Too many goals lead to spreading effort thinly, which reduces the chance of mastery or breakthrough. Simplifying allows you to devote time and energy to a smaller set of priorities. This concentrated effort accelerates progress and builds momentum. It also reduces overwhelm and decision fatigue because you don't have to constantly juggle competing demands. Your mind feels clearer and your motivation sharper. Simplification is also about recognizing that success doesn't require doing everything. Many cultures celebrate busyness as a sign of importance, but busyness often masks a lack of direction. By intentionally removing unnecessary goals, you stop equating activity with achievement. Instead, you choose actions that create true value and meaning. This shift leads to more sustainable productivity and a healthier balance between work, rest, and personal growth. Removing goals can be challenging because it involves confronting fears of failure or missing out. You might worry that letting go means giving up or losing opportunities, yet holding on to too many goals often results in mediocre outcomes rather than excellence. Letting go is not failure, but a strategic decision to focus on what matters most. It's an act of discipline and wisdom that strengthens your ability to follow through and deliver meaningful results. Simplifying your life by removing unnecessary goals also reduces stress and anxiety. Carrying too many objectives divides your attention and makes it hard to know where to start or what to prioritize. This confusion breeds frustration and procrastination. When you clear the clutter of goals, you create mental space to think clearly and act decisively. You regain control over your time and energy, which boosts confidence and peace of mind. Another benefit of simplification is increased alignment with your values. When you choose fewer goals, you can ensure they reflect what you truly care about. This alignment creates intrinsic motivation that sustains effort even during difficult times. It makes your journey more fulfilling because your actions resonate with your deeper purpose. Your life feels more coherent and meaningful, reducing the temptation to chase distractions or external validation. Simplification also improves the quality of your efforts. Instead of rushing to check items off a long list, you invest more time and attention into each goal. This focus improves outcomes and satisfaction. You build skills and habits more effectively because your energy isn't scattered. This depth over breadth approach enhances mastery and confidence. It also creates a sense of progress that fuels ongoing motivation. To simplify effectively, create clear criteria for choosing which goals to keep. Consider questions like, does this goal align with my core values? Will achieving it significantly improve my life? Am I passionate or curious about pursuing it? Is this goal realistic, given my current resources and commitments? If the answer is no or uncertain, consider letting it go or postponing it. This filter helps you maintain focus and reduces regret or second-guessing. Simplifying also involves decluttering your environment and commitments that support unnecessary goals. For example, unsubscribe from emails, avoid social media accounts, or say no to activities that pull you away from your priorities. Your external environment influences your mental clarity and habits. A simpler, more organized environment supports focus and intentional action. This creates a positive feedback loop that reinforces your simplified lifestyle. When you remove unnecessary goals, you free time for rest and reflection. Rest is essential for creativity, decision-making, and emotional resilience. Simplification prevents burnout by balancing effort with recovery. It also gives space for new insights and growth. Reflection helps you stay connected to your purpose and adjust your goals as needed. This ongoing process keeps your life aligned and prevents accumulation of unnecessary complexity. Simplifying your life does not mean avoiding challenges or ambition. It means channeling your ambition wisely and embracing challenges that truly matter. This focused ambition leads to more meaningful achievements and personal fulfillment. It also builds confidence because your efforts yield tangible progress. You become less distracted by shiny objects or external pressure. Instead, you develop a deep sense of purpose and mastery over your journey. The habit of regularly reviewing your goals and commitments supports long-term simplification. Life changes, and so do your priorities. Periodic reflection allows you to remove outdated or irrelevant goals. This prevents clutter from creeping back in and maintains clarity. It also helps you adapt to new opportunities or challenges with flexibility and intentionality. Simplification is an ongoing practice, not a one-time event. Simplifying your life creates space for what matters most: relationships, health, growth, and meaningful work. It enhances your ability to be present and engaged in these areas. With fewer distractions, you build stronger connections and deepen experiences. This richness improves overall well-being and satisfaction. You become more mindful of your time and energy, making choices that support a balanced and fulfilling life. Finally, simplifying your goals builds resilience. When your focus is clear and manageable, you can recover from setbacks faster and stay committed longer. You are less likely to be overwhelmed by competing demands. This resilience supports sustained progress through challenges and uncertainty. It creates a foundation for consistent growth and self-mastery. Removing unnecessary goals is an act of courage, clarity, and self-respect. It sets you free to pursue what truly matters with dedication and joy. This freedom creates space for growth that is deep, steady, and fulfilling. Simplification is a strategic choice that empowers you to live intentionally and with purpose. It is the foundation for lasting success and a meaningful life. Chapter 13. Commit to showing up every single day. Showing up every day is the cornerstone of meaningful growth and lasting success. The simple act of consistently being present, regardless of how you feel or what distractions arise, builds a powerful foundation for progress. Commitment is not about perfection or grand gestures. It's about the steady, unwavering presence in your own life. When you decide to show up every single day, you cultivate discipline, reliability, and trust in yourself that no goal or external circumstance can replace. This commitment requires understanding that progress is rarely a straight line. Some days will be easier than others, but the strength comes from showing up even when motivation fades or challenges appear. Consistency beats bursts of effort, followed by long breaks. This is because growth happens in the spaces between actions, in the cumulative effect of daily choices. Each day you engage with your goals, you reinforce your habits and push your limits just a little further. Showing up is not about waiting to feel ready or inspired. Often waiting for motivation means waiting indefinitely. True commitment means acting regardless of emotion. There will be moments of doubt, fatigue, or distraction, yet deciding to be present anyway develops resilience. This resilience becomes a muscle that strengthens over time. The more you practice showing up, the easier it becomes to do so even in difficult circumstances. When you commit to daily presence, you also strengthen your relationship with yourself. This reliability builds self-respect and confidence. Each time you follow through, you prove that your word matters, most importantly, your word to yourself. This trust in your own consistency creates a mental environment where growth flourishes. You start to believe in your capacity to overcome obstacles and sustain progress. Showing up every day also transforms your approach to setbacks. Rather than seeing failure as a reason to quit, you learn to treat it as part of the process. Missing a day or making a mistake no longer means giving up. Instead, it becomes a reminder to recommit and keep moving forward. This mindset change prevents the all-or-nothing thinking that often sabotages progress and builds greater emotional stability. Commitment to daily action creates momentum. Momentum is a powerful force that makes subsequent efforts easier and more natural. Once you've established a rhythm, your work becomes less of a burden and more of a habit. This flow reduces resistance and increases productivity. When momentum builds, it carries you through periods of low motivation and unexpected challenges, making sustained progress possible. Showing up consistently also increases your mastery over time. The more time you dedicate, the deeper your skills and knowledge grow. This steady investment of effort leads to expertise and confidence. Expertise itself then fuels motivation and satisfaction, creating a positive cycle of growth. Long-term commitment is what separates those who achieve lasting change from those who only dream about it. To maintain commitment, it's essential to create systems that support daily engagement. This might include setting reminders, creating routines, or simplifying your environment to remove friction. When your daily actions are easy to start and maintain, it becomes harder to skip them. Design your schedule and space in a way that encourages presence and reduces excuses. These small structural supports sustain your ability to show up no matter what. Accountability can also strengthen commitment. Sharing your goals with others or joining a group with similar objectives provides external motivation. Accountability partners help you stay honest and focused. They remind you of your purpose when your own resolve wanes. This social support builds community and reinforces your commitment to daily presence. It's also important to cultivate self-compassion in your commitment. Showing up every day doesn't mean demanding perfection or beating yourself up for slips. Be patient and kind with yourself as you build this habit. Recognize that persistence is more valuable than perfection. When you treat yourself with understanding, you maintain motivation and reduce the risk of burnout. Understanding your deeper why fuels your commitment to show up. Reflect regularly on the reasons behind your actions and goals. When your purpose is clear and meaningful, it becomes easier to prioritize daily engagement. This connection to why you do what you do provides emotional strength to persevere through challenges. It turns routine effort into purposeful action. Each day you show up, you invest in your future self. This investment compounds, creating a foundation for ongoing success and fulfillment. The future you will thank you for the commitment you make now. This perspective shifts daily action from a chore to an act of care and respect for your own growth. Ultimately, showing up every day is about owning your journey and your potential. It is the difference between wishing for change and actively creating it. This consistent presence creates a steady pulse of progress that leads to transformation. Commitment is a quiet power that grows stronger with each day, shaping not only your achievements, but who you become. The decision to show up is available to you every morning. Regardless of circumstances, you can choose to engage with your goals and values. This choice builds discipline and character, qualities that sustain success beyond any single achievement. In this way, daily commitment becomes a practice of mastery and self-mastery. Commit to presence and consistency as a way of life. Let showing up be your unshakable foundation. This commitment transforms challenges into stepping stones and effort into lasting growth. It allows you to navigate life's uncertainties with strength and purpose. Showing up every single day is your path to becoming the person you aspire to be. Chapter 14. Build feedback loops that guide your next steps. Building feedback loops is essential for meaningful progress because it creates a continuous cycle of learning and adjustment. Without feedback, efforts become blind stabs in the dark, disconnected from reality and growth. Feedback loops allow you to gather information about what works and what doesn't, helping you refine your systems and actions in real time. This dynamic process increases your chances of success and accelerates improvement by making each step smarter than the last. The core of a feedback loop is observation. It requires you to watch your actions closely and honestly assess their effects. This means being aware of not only the results, but also the feelings, obstacles, and patterns connected to your efforts. Observing without judgment is crucial. When you evaluate your progress objectively, you create a foundation for useful insights rather than self-criticism. This clarity empowers better decision-making. Another important aspect is collecting relevant data or evidence. This might be as simple as tracking your daily habits, noting emotions, or recording specific outcomes. The goal is to have concrete information to guide your next moves instead of relying on vague impressions or hopes. Consistent tracking builds a clear picture of your behavior and progress, revealing trends that are invisible in isolated moments. Once you gather observations and data, the next step is reflection. Reflection is the process of making sense of the information you collected. Ask yourself what the data shows about your efforts and their effectiveness. Identify what actions are helping you move forward and which ones are holding you back. Reflection transforms raw data into actionable knowledge, making your feedback loop meaningful. Reflection also requires honesty and curiosity. It's not about blaming yourself for shortcomings, but about understanding how to improve. Approach reflection as a problem-solving exercise. What adjustments can you make? What experiments can you try next? This mindset keeps feedback loops positive and growth-oriented, avoiding the trap of discouragement. After reflecting, the crucial step is to take action based on your insights. This is what completes the feedback loop. The adjustments you make should be deliberate and focused on improving your systems or habits. Small, targeted changes often lead to the best results because they are easier to implement and test. Iterating in this way helps you avoid paralysis by analysis and keeps progress moving forward steadily. Feedback loops also foster adaptability. Life and goals are rarely static, so your approach should evolve accordingly. By regularly incorporating feedback, you stay aligned with your current reality and challenges. This flexibility increases resilience and prevents stagnation. It allows you to respond effectively to setbacks and seize new opportunities without losing momentum. Building feedback loops creates a rhythm of continuous learning. This rhythm strengthens self-awareness and personal growth. You develop a deeper understanding of yourself, your strengths, weaknesses, triggers, and preferences. This self-knowledge is invaluable for long-term success because it guides you toward habits and systems that fit your unique needs and circumstances. Feedback loops also enhance motivation by providing clear markers of progress and areas to improve. Seeing evidence of growth no matter how small, encourages continued effort. Identifying obstacles early prevents frustration and burnout. This clarity makes the journey less overwhelming and more manageable, fueling persistence. To build effective feedback loops, establish regular check-in points. These can be daily, weekly, or monthly reviews, depending on the complexity of your goals. Use these moments to collect data, reflect, and adjust. Make it a habit to pause and evaluate, rather than rushing blindly ahead. This discipline in self-monitoring builds a strong foundation for ongoing success. Technology can be a useful tool for feedback loops. Apps, journals, or spreadsheets can help you track behavior and results systematically. Use whatever method feels simple and sustainable. The key is consistency and ease, so the feedback process becomes integrated into your routine rather than an additional burden. Sharing your feedback process with a mentor, coach, or accountability partner adds another layer of value. External perspectives can highlight blind spots and provide encouragement. Discussing your reflections deepens understanding and commitment. This social element strengthens your feedback loop and provides support for sustained growth. A critical part of feedback loops is celebrating progress and learning from setbacks. Recognize improvements and milestones as signs of your effort paying off. Celebrate these moments to boost morale and reinforce positive habits. Similarly, view challenges as lessons that refine your path. This balanced approach prevents discouragement and maintains forward momentum. By focusing on feedback, you turn your growth into a deliberate science. Each cycle of action, observation, reflection, and adjustment sharpens your effectiveness. You develop a mindset of continuous improvement that keeps you moving toward your goals with clarity and confidence. Building feedback loops also helps you avoid the trap of chasing perfection. Since you are constantly learning and adapting, you accept that mistakes and imperfections are natural. This acceptance reduces pressure and anxiety, creating space for creativity and experimentation. You become more comfortable with uncertainty and change. Over time, the practice of feedback loops strengthens your self-discipline and focus. You learn to recognize which inputs produce the best outcomes and prioritize them. This selective focus maximizes your productivity and energy. It also frees you from wasting time on ineffective actions or distractions. Incorporating feedback loops turns your growth journey into a dynamic process rather than a fixed plan. This fluid approach prepares you to face complex challenges and shifting environments. You become a lifelong learner, always refining your approach and expanding your capabilities. This adaptability is a key advantage in any pursuit. Ultimately, feedback loops empower you to be your own guide. You no longer rely solely on external validation or arbitrary milestones. Instead, you cultivate internal wisdom and responsiveness. This independence builds confidence and self-trust that sustain long-term success. The strength of feedback loops lies in their ability to make growth visible and manageable. By breaking down progress into observable cycles, you take control of your development. This clarity provides direction, motivation, and resilience. It transforms vague intentions into concrete, purposeful actions. Engaging fully with feedback loops means committing to honest self-assessment and continuous refinement. It means embracing curiosity about your own journey and being willing to change course when necessary. This commitment creates a powerful momentum that drives you steadily forward. By building and maintaining effective feedback loops, you transform how you grow. You shift from random effort to focused mastery. You develop habits and systems that are flexible, informed, and effective. This approach turns challenges into opportunities and setbacks into lessons. In the end, feedback loops are the compass that guides your growth. They keep you aligned with your purpose and reality, They enable smart decisions and sustainable progress. This guidance is essential for turning ambition into achievement and dreams into lived experience. Chapter 15. Take responsibility for what you repeat each day. Taking responsibility for what you repeat each day is a powerful act that shapes your entire life. Every habit, choice, and action you engage in repeatedly builds the foundation of who you become. Your daily behaviors are not accidental. They are the product of countless small decisions that either move you forward or hold you back. Owning this reality means recognizing that you are the architect of your own life, capable of creating change by changing what you do consistently. Understanding the weight of daily repetition helps you see that success and failure don't come from isolated events, but from patterns. These patterns are created by what you choose to do again and again. When you take responsibility for these patterns, you reclaim control over your future. It no longer feels like external forces dictate your path. Instead, your daily actions become the levers you pull to shape your destiny. Taking responsibility also means acknowledging where you have fallen into unhelpful cycles. It requires honest self-reflection about which habits serve you and which don't. This honesty can be uncomfortable but is essential. Without it, change remains superficial or temporary. Recognizing responsibility for your repeated actions creates the motivation to break free from destructive routines and replace them with constructive ones. This ownership transforms how you approach challenges and setbacks. Instead of blaming circumstances, others, or bad luck, you look inward to see how your repeated choices contributed. This shift is empowering because it puts the solution in your hands. You become proactive rather than reactive. You focus on what you can control, your own behaviors, and develop resilience through accountability. Taking responsibility also requires discipline. It's easy to excuse lapses or inconsistencies by pointing to external factors. True responsibility means holding yourself to a higher standard regardless of mood, environment, or distractions. This steady commitment to your repeated actions builds integrity. Integrity is the alignment of your values and behaviors, creating trust in yourself that fuels further growth. When you embrace responsibility for daily repetition, you naturally become more intentional. You stop acting on autopilot or reacting to impulses. Instead, you consciously choose what habits to cultivate and which ones to discard. This intentionality increases your focus and energy because your actions align with your goals and values. You work smarter, not harder, by investing in what truly matters. Taking responsibility for what you repeat also impacts your relationships and environment. Your consistent behaviors influence those around you, shaping your support system and opportunities. When you commit to positive repetition, you attract like-minded people and create environments that reinforce growth. Conversely, ignoring this responsibility can lead to isolation or negative influences that undermine your progress. This mindset encourages patience because meaningful change takes time. Habits and behaviors are the results of countless small repetitions over days, weeks, and months. Taking responsibility means accepting this gradual process without rushing or seeking quick fixes. It's about building a sustainable foundation through persistent effort, knowing that lasting transformation comes from steady, repeated actions. Accountability tools can support this responsibility. Tracking your behaviors, journaling your progress, or sharing your commitments with trusted individuals helps you stay honest and focused. These tools create external reminders and feedback that reinforce your ownership. They turn vague intentions into concrete practices that you repeat deliberately. Taking responsibility for daily repetition also means learning from mistakes without self-judgment. When you miss a step or fall back into old habits, It's an opportunity to understand triggers and patterns. This awareness helps you adjust and improve your system. Self-compassion combined with responsibility creates a balanced approach that fosters resilience rather than discouragement. This ownership cultivates self-respect and confidence. Each time you follow through on your commitments, you strengthen belief in your ability to change and grow. This growing confidence fuels further responsibility and effort, creating a positive cycle of development. You start seeing yourself as capable and worthy of success because your actions consistently support that vision. Taking responsibility extends to your mindset and language. How you talk to yourself influences what you repeat. Positive, constructive self-talk reinforces commitment and persistence. Negative or defeatist thoughts undermine your efforts. Becoming aware of and shifting your inner dialogue is part of owning your repeated behaviors and creating empowering patterns. When you fully embrace responsibility for your daily repetition, you step into the role of creator in your life. You move from passive observer to active participant. This shift transforms fear of failure into curiosity and determination. You stop waiting for external conditions to be perfect and take charge of your growth journey right now. Taking responsibility also helps you align your actions with your deeper purpose. When you see the connection between daily repetition and long-term outcomes, you become more motivated to maintain good habits. This alignment creates a sense of meaning that sustains effort through challenges and distractions. Your repeated actions become expressions of who you want to be. By owning what you repeat, you break the cycle of blaming circumstances or others for your situation. This shift is liberating because it puts power back in your hands. You realize that change is possible because it starts with what you do today and every day. This realization fuels hope, determination, and action. The act of taking responsibility is itself a form of self-discipline that builds mental toughness. It trains you to confront discomfort and uncertainty with courage. This toughness is crucial for overcoming obstacles and staying on course when results are slow or setbacks occur. It also builds patience and humility, recognizing that growth is a lifelong process. Ultimately, responsibility for your daily repetition shapes your identity. The habits and choices you consistently make define who you become. By taking control of these behaviors, you shape your character and future. This is the essence of self-mastery, the ability to govern yourself through conscious, repeated action. Every day is an opportunity to exercise this responsibility. Each moment you choose what to repeat, you craft your life's direction. This power is both inspiring and humbling. It reminds you that greatness is built not on grand moments, but on the quiet, consistent repetition of purposeful actions. Committing to responsibility means accepting that your life is the sum of your repeated choices. This acceptance frees you from victimhood and excuses. It opens the path to freedom and growth through intentional living. Your repeated actions become the tools with which you build your desired life. Taking responsibility for what you repeat is a lifelong practice that requires vigilance and commitment. It asks you to stay aware, reflect honestly, and adjust continually. This dedication transforms habits into strengths and dreams into reality. It's the foundation of true personal power and fulfillment. By owning your repeated actions, you step into your role as the author of your own story. You create a life shaped by deliberate effort and meaningful growth. This ownership transforms obstacles into opportunities and challenges into milestones. It empowers you to live fully and intentionally every single day. Chapter 16. Adjust your systems as your life keeps evolving. As life unfolds, it constantly brings change in ways both expected and surprising. No system built in a single moment can perfectly serve you forever. Growth, circumstances, priorities, and challenges evolve, And your systems must evolve too. Stagnant routines and rigid structures eventually become obstacles rather than support. The ability to adjust your systems in response to life's shifts is critical to maintaining progress and avoiding burnout. Adapting systems means staying aware of your current reality and how it differs from the time when you first created those systems. It requires honest self-assessment and a willingness to let go of what no longer serves you. Clinging to outdated systems often wastes energy and leads to frustration. When you embrace adjustment as a natural part of growth, you open yourself to more effective and sustainable habits. Flexibility in your systems fosters resilience. Life throws curveballs, unexpected events, changes in health, new responsibilities, shifting relationships, or evolving goals. Systems designed to bend and adapt to these changes help you maintain momentum. They provide structure without rigidity. This balance allows you to continue moving forward, even when the ground beneath you shifts. Adjusting your systems involves listening carefully to feedback from your experiences. If a system feels burdensome or unproductive, it is a signal that it needs refinement. Sometimes this means simplifying, other times it means adding complexity to match new demands. The key is to regularly check in with yourself and your results to determine what adjustments are necessary. Your personal growth journey is never static, so your systems shouldn't be either. As you develop new skills, increase your capacity, or face different challenges, your daily routines must evolve. For example, a morning routine that once helped you wake up energized might need to change if your schedule or energy levels shift. Ignoring these changes risks making your system ineffective or even counterproductive. Making adjustments also means being realistic about your limitations and resources at any given moment. Overestimating what you can do leads to burnout, while underestimating restricts your growth. A well-tuned system respects your current capacity and builds on it gradually. When life becomes busier or more stressful, scaling back your system temporarily can keep you consistent instead of quitting altogether. Another important aspect is experimentation. Adjusting systems requires a mindset open to trying new approaches. Sometimes small tweaks can yield significant improvements. Other times, more radical changes are necessary. Embracing experimentation without fear of failure encourages learning and innovation. Each adjustment is an opportunity to discover what truly supports your growth. Adjustment also means prioritizing what matters most. As your goals and values shift, your systems should reflect these changes. Removing or modifying parts of your system that no longer align with your priorities frees time and energy. This ongoing pruning ensures your efforts remain focused on what truly advances your personal evolution. Technology and tools you use for your systems might also need updating. New apps, habits, or methods can make your routines easier and more effective. Staying informed and willing to adopt helpful innovations keeps your system fresh and engaging. Conversely, abandoning outdated tools that cause friction improves your experience and consistency. Adjusting systems is not a one-time event, but a continual process. Life's changes come in waves, so regular reviews of your systems keep them aligned with your evolving self. Setting a habit to reflect monthly or quarterly on your systems helps catch misalignments early and maintain steady progress. These reviews create space to celebrate successes and address obstacles proactively. Sometimes adjustment means asking for support or input from others. Mentors, coaches, or trusted friends can offer valuable perspectives on how your systems might evolve. External feedback often reveals blind spots and suggests ideas you might overlook. Collaboration encourages accountability and shared wisdom in your growth journey. Emotional and mental shifts also impact your systems. As your mindset deepens and your emotional intelligence grows, your systems can evolve to include practices that nurture these areas. For example, incorporating mindfulness or journaling might become essential parts of your routine as your awareness expands. These changes enrich your systems beyond physical habits, supporting holistic development. Adjusting systems requires patience. Change can feel uncomfortable or uncertain, especially when it disrupts familiar routines. It's normal to resist at first or feel uncertain about new approaches. Trusting the process and giving yourself time to settle into changes allows new systems to take root effectively. Patience also prevents the temptation to revert to old habits out of discomfort. As you refine your systems, clarity about your overall vision and purpose helps guide decisions. When you know why you pursue certain habits or routines, it becomes easier to identify which adjustments keep you aligned with that purpose. This clarity acts as a compass during periods of change, keeping you on a meaningful path despite shifting circumstances. Sometimes, adjusting your systems includes recognizing when a system has served its purpose and it's time to create a new one altogether. Life phases, goals, and personal growth can make previous systems obsolete. Letting go gracefully and designing fresh systems aligned with your current needs is a sign of wisdom and growth, not failure. Adjustments also help prevent complacency. When systems remain unchanged for too long, motivation and effectiveness can decline. Changing systems reinvigorates your daily experience and renews your commitment. This dynamic approach combats boredom and staleness, encouraging ongoing engagement and passion. Your systems are reflections of your current self, but they also shape who you become. By regularly updating them, you ensure that your environment, habits, and actions nurture the best version of yourself. This ongoing evolution is the hallmark of continuous improvement and mastery. Adjusting systems requires courage to question routines and embrace uncertainty. It means being honest about what works and what doesn't, without attachment to comfort or identity. This bravery fosters growth and prevents stagnation, making your systems active tools for transformation rather than rigid rules. Ultimately, adjusting your systems as life evolves is an act of respect toward yourself and your journey. It acknowledges that you deserve support that fits your real needs, not ideals frozen in time. This responsiveness creates a sustainable path forward, increasing your chances of success and fulfillment. Remaining open and adaptable also helps you navigate unexpected disruptions with grace. Life rarely unfolds exactly as planned. Flexible systems cushion the impact of surprises and help you maintain balance and focus. They provide stability without rigidity, allowing you to keep growing even when external conditions fluctuate. Adjustment builds confidence in your ability to manage change. Each successful refinement proves you can handle challenges and redirect your efforts effectively. This growing confidence fuels resilience and self-trust, essential qualities for long-term success. As you evolve your systems, the focus shifts from rigid outcomes to flexible processes. This mindset reduces anxiety and perfectionism. It emphasizes progress and learning over fixed results, making growth more enjoyable and sustainable. Your evolving systems become a reflection of your evolving self. They tell the story of your growth, adaptability, and commitment. This continuous refinement transforms your life into a living project of improvement and purpose. Every adjustment is an opportunity to deepen self-awareness and sharpen your growth strategy. It transforms trial and error into deliberate experimentation, guided by wisdom. This process turns uncertainty into possibility. Adjusting systems keeps your habits aligned with your highest potential. It prevents wasted effort and maximizes your impact. This ongoing evolution is the secret to maintaining momentum and achieving meaningful results over time. By embracing change and updating your systems, you take charge of your growth journey. You stop resisting reality and start working with it. This partnership between self and life creates harmony, balance, and sustainable success. The practice of adjustment is not a sign of weakness, but a mark of strength and intelligence. It shows you value effectiveness over ego and are committed to your long-term well-being. This mindset builds a solid foundation for lasting transformation. Your systems should serve you, not trap you. Regular adjustments ensure they remain tools of empowerment rather than sources of stress. This alignment creates freedom, creativity, and joy in your daily growth. In summary, life's evolution demands your systems evolve too. By staying flexible, responsive, and intentional, you maintain alignment with your changing needs and goals. This dynamic approach creates a resilient framework for continuous improvement and meaningful success. Chapter 17. Track behavior patterns that shape your daily reality. The patterns of behavior we repeat every day fundamentally shape the reality we live in. The small actions, often unnoticed or automatic, build the framework of our daily experience. Tracking these behavior patterns is a powerful practice that brings awareness and control over the forces molding your life. It reveals how habits accumulate to create outcomes, emotions, and circumstances, helping you steer your path consciously rather than passively. When you track behavior patterns, you become your own observer. This objective view allows you to identify which actions promote growth and which ones hold you back. It uncovers routines you might otherwise ignore, both positive and negative. Awareness is the first step toward change, because you cannot improve what you do not recognize. Recording patterns exposes blind spots that keep you stuck or underperforming. Tracking also highlights consistency and variability in your actions. Sometimes behaviors fluctuate depending on mood, environment, or stress levels. Recognizing these fluctuations gives insight into triggers and vulnerabilities. It shows when you are most likely to act in alignment with your goals and when you are prone to slip into counterproductive habits. This knowledge empowers you to design strategies to reinforce good behaviors and guard against setbacks. This practice builds a deep connection between intention and action. Often, what we intend differs from what we actually do. Tracking narrows this gap by providing clear evidence of your real patterns. This honesty removes illusions and excuses, sharpening your focus on what truly matters. It keeps you accountable to your aspirations and encourages disciplined effort. Recording behaviors also uncovers hidden energy drains. Certain repeated actions or thought patterns can sap your vitality without your conscious awareness. Tracking helps reveal these drains so you can address them effectively. By eliminating or adjusting energy-wasting behaviors, you free yourself to invest more fully in positive habits that support your well-being and progress. Tracking can take many forms, depending on your preferences and goals. It might involve journaling your daily routines, using habit tracking apps, or simply noting behaviors on paper. The key is regularity and honesty. Make it a consistent part of your day to observe and document your actions without judgment. This consistency builds a reliable dataset that reveals meaningful trends over time. As you track, patterns begin to emerge that connect behavior to mood, productivity, and outcomes. For example, you might notice that exercising in the morning improves focus all day, or that checking social media before work leads to distraction. These insights allow you to refine your systems and make adjustments that optimize your daily reality. Tracking also supports goal alignment by showing how your behaviors reflect your priorities. Sometimes daily actions diverge from stated goals, due to habit or convenience. Seeing this disconnect prompts re-evaluation and recommitment. It helps you prioritize actions that truly advance your vision rather than getting caught in busyness or distractions. Behavior pattern tracking cultivates mindfulness. It encourages presence and attention to the here and now, instead of rushing through the day unconsciously. This heightened awareness enhances decision-making and self-regulation. You become less reactive and more deliberate in choosing actions that serve your long-term interests. The practice strengthens self-discipline by making invisible routines visible. When you see how often you skip a habit or indulge a distraction, you become motivated to improve. It creates a feedback loop where observation leads to action, which leads to further observation. This cycle builds momentum and habit strength over time. Tracking behavior also sheds light on environmental influences. Certain places, people, or times of day might consistently trigger specific patterns. Recognizing these associations helps you design your environment to support positive habits and minimize temptations. It enables you to manage external factors rather than being controlled by them. The process encourages experimentation and learning. When you track, you can test new behaviors or adjustments and monitor their effects. This data-driven approach replaces guesswork with evidence. You can refine your routines based on what actually improves your daily reality, making your growth intentional and strategic. Tracking patterns reveals your resilience and responses to stress or setbacks. You can observe how behavior changes during difficult times and plan supportive strategies accordingly. This awareness fosters emotional intelligence and self-compassion, helping you maintain consistency without harsh self-judgment. The insights from tracking inform your planning and time management. By understanding when and how you function best, you can schedule tasks to match your natural rhythms. You can also identify unproductive habits that waste time and replace them with focused actions. This optimization enhances efficiency and satisfaction. Tracking behavior patterns deepens your understanding of motivation. You discover what energizes you and what drains your drive. This knowledge helps you harness intrinsic motivation rather than relying on fleeting external incentives. It supports sustained effort and engagement over the long haul. This practice builds confidence through clarity. When you see concrete evidence of your efforts and progress, it reinforces belief in your ability to grow. It transforms vague intentions into measurable reality, providing a solid foundation for continued commitment. Tracking also prevents complacency. It keeps you honest about your actions and prevents slipping into automatic or passive modes. This vigilance ensures you remain aligned with your goals and values, continuously refining your path. It cultivates a mindset of curiosity and growth. Rather than judging yourself for imperfections, you view behavior patterns as data to explore and learn from. This approach reduces anxiety and self-criticism, making personal development a positive and engaging process. Tracking patterns can strengthen your sense of purpose. When you see how daily habits connect to larger goals and values, your actions gain deeper meaning. This connection motivates sustained effort even when challenges arise. This habit also enhances problem-solving skills. By analyzing behavior trends, you identify obstacles and create targeted solutions. It promotes proactive management of your growth rather than reactive responses. Tracking can improve your overall quality of life by increasing balance and well-being. By observing patterns related to sleep, nutrition, exercise, and social interactions, you can optimize your lifestyle. This holistic view supports sustainable growth and fulfillment. The discipline of tracking extends beyond actions to thoughts and emotions. Noting mental and emotional patterns reveals how internal states influence behavior. This awareness empowers emotional regulation and mental clarity, vital components of personal mastery. Sharing your tracking efforts with a trusted person can amplify benefits. External accountability and feedback provide motivation and perspective. Collaborative reflection deepens insight and encourages continued progress. Tracking behavior patterns fosters a sense of control and empowerment. It transforms feelings of overwhelm or helplessness into structured action. This empowerment builds resilience and optimism in facing life's uncertainties. Over time, the accumulation of tracked data builds a rich personal archive. Reviewing this archive offers perspective on your journey and growth. It provides lessons from past successes and challenges, guiding future decisions. The habit of tracking creates a disciplined framework that supports lifelong learning and improvement. It anchors your development in reality rather than wishful thinking or assumptions. This grounded approach builds a foundation for sustained transformation. In summary, tracking behavior patterns is a powerful tool to shape your daily reality consciously. It increases awareness, accountability, and adaptability. By observing and understanding your repeated actions, you gain control over your growth journey and create a life aligned with your highest potential. This practice transforms the invisible forces of habit into visible pathways of intentional change. Chapter 18. Stick to habits that feel real and sustainable. Habits that feel authentic and sustainable form the foundation of lasting personal growth. Choosing actions that resonate deeply with who you are makes it easier to maintain consistency without force or guilt. When habits align with your true self, they integrate smoothly into your life, becoming natural extensions of your daily rhythm instead of burdensome tasks. This natural fit is critical because forced habits often lead to burnout, resistance, or abandonment. Sticking to habits that feel real nurtures your motivation and supports ongoing improvement. Recognizing what habits feel genuine requires honest self-reflection. It means understanding your values, preferences, and limitations without trying to conform to external expectations or trends. Authentic habits reflect your real interests and practical circumstances, not what others say you should do. This honesty prevents disconnection between your actions and your identity, which is a common cause of inconsistency. Habits that emerge from self-awareness carry inherent meaning and satisfaction, fueling perseverance. Sustainability in habits means they are manageable over the long term. Adaptable to fluctuations in life's demands and energy levels, sustainable habits don't demand perfect conditions or extreme effort to maintain. Instead, they fit your lifestyle realistically and allow room for imperfection. When habits feel achievable rather than overwhelming, you're more likely to show up day after day. This steady participation compounds into significant growth and progress. Building real and sustainable habits also involves starting small. Grand gestures or drastic changes often create pressure and high expectations, which can sabotage efforts. By contrast, small habits are low risk, easy to integrate, and build momentum gradually. This incremental approach builds confidence and minimizes resistance. It helps embed habits deeply because they don't feel like disruptions, but rather natural steps forward. Another key aspect is enjoyment. Habits that bring some form of positive emotion, whether satisfaction, calm, accomplishment, or joy, have higher chances of lasting. When you associate good feelings with an action, your brain reinforces the habit loop strongly. This positive feedback encourages repetition without external prodding. Finding pleasure or meaning in your habits makes consistency a rewarding experience rather than a chore. Flexibility is crucial for sustainability. Life circumstances change, and rigid habits that don't accommodate this shift often fail. Habits that allow modification, scaling, or temporary pauses maintain continuity over time. Flexibility also prevents discouragement when life gets hectic or unexpected events arise. Knowing you can adjust your habit without giving up entirely keeps you connected and resilient. Accountability helps sustain real habits. Whether through self-monitoring, sharing progress with others, or joining supportive groups, external reinforcement boosts commitment. Accountability creates a social contract and encourages you to honor your intentions. It also provides encouragement during challenging moments and celebrates milestones that fuel further effort. Tracking progress, even in simple ways, reinforces sustainability. Seeing evidence of consistency and improvement motivates continued action. It makes abstract efforts concrete and provides valuable feedback for adjustments. Tracking also helps identify patterns that support or hinder habit maintenance, allowing you to refine your approach. Avoiding habits based on guilt, shame, or external pressure ensures they feel authentic. Habits born from negative emotions rarely sustain because they lack internal motivation. Instead, focusing on positive intentions and benefits cultivates intrinsic desire. This mindset shift transforms habit formation into an act of self-care and growth rather than obligation. Understanding the purpose behind your habits strengthens their authenticity. When you clearly know why a habit matters, it connects to deeper goals and values. This sense of purpose anchors your actions and fuels persistence through difficulties. Purpose-driven habits integrate into your identity and daily life with ease. Creating habits that respect your natural rhythms improves sustainability. Timing actions when you have the most energy or mental clarity reduces friction. Aligning habits with your personality and preferences also enhances enjoyment and adherence. For example, if you're naturally an evening person, shifting exercise or reading routines accordingly supports consistency. Building habits that fit your environment reduces barriers. Designing surroundings to make desired actions easy and convenient increases the likelihood of follow-through. Removing friction points and temptations supports effortless habit execution. When your environment works for you, sticking to habits feels natural. Patience is vital for sustainability. Real habits take time to form and settle into your routine. Expecting immediate perfection or rapid change often leads to frustration. Embracing gradual progress allows habits to develop roots deeply, making them harder to lose. Patience also helps you be kind to yourself when setbacks occur, maintaining long-term commitment. Cultivating self-compassion reinforces persistence. When habits falter, treating yourself with understanding rather than harsh judgment prevents discouragement. This supportive attitude encourages re-engagement and reduces the risk of giving up entirely. Compassion creates a safe space for growth and learning through imperfection. Sustainable habits include rest and recovery. Recognizing when to pause or slow down protects against burnout. Rest allows habits to consolidate and renew your energy for continued effort. Balancing action with recovery keeps your system healthy and your commitment durable. Simplicity enhances sustainability. Habits that are straightforward and clear are easier to maintain than complex routines. Simplicity reduces decision fatigue and confusion, making actions automatic and effortless. Clear habits also allow better focus and consistency. Reflecting regularly on your habits supports sustainability by keeping them aligned with your evolving self. What feels real today might shift as you grow or circumstances change. Periodic review helps you modify, replace, or deepen habits to match your current reality. This dynamic process ensures your system remains authentic and effective. Integrating habits into existing routines leverages natural momentum. Attaching new actions to established behaviors creates triggers and simplifies execution. This method, known as habit stacking, builds synergy and reduces friction in habit formation. When habits flow from familiar activities, they feel less intrusive and more sustainable. Celebrating small wins nurtures motivation. Recognizing even minor successes reinforces positive feelings associated with habits. These celebrations create emotional rewards that encourage continued effort. Acknowledging progress fosters a growth mindset and strengthens habit identity. Avoiding all-or-nothing thinking protects sustainability. Viewing habits as flexible rather than rigid allows you to maintain connection despite occasional lapses. This mindset reduces anxiety and guilt, making habits approachable and realistic. Accepting imperfection sustains engagement over the long term. Choosing habits that contribute to multiple areas of life enhances their value and integration. For example, a habit that boosts both physical health and mental clarity offers compounded benefits. Multidimensional habits enrich your daily experience and increase motivation to maintain them. Seeking inspiration from others who embody authentic and sustainable habits provides guidance and encouragement. Observing role models reveals practical strategies and mindset approaches. This connection fosters a sense of community and shared purpose, strengthening commitment. Aligning habits with your core identity makes them inseparable from who you are. When habits reflect your beliefs and values, they reinforce your self-image and purpose. This alignment makes habits less vulnerable to external disruptions or internal doubts. Building habits that support your well-being holistically, physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially creates balance and sustainability. Nurturing all dimensions prevents burnout and promotes sustained energy and motivation. Holistic habits promote thriving rather than mere survival. Finally, persistence in habits that feel real and sustainable transforms your life incrementally. Each consistent action adds to a foundation of progress that compounds over time. This steady accumulation leads to profound personal transformation, realized through authentic, manageable daily steps. Sticking to habits that feel real and sustainable is not about perfection or speed. It's about honest alignment with yourself, realistic management of your energy and circumstances, and patient dedication to gradual growth. This approach builds a resilient, fulfilling, and empowered life rooted in genuine self-improvement. Chapter 19. Reinforce discipline by mastering daily structure. Mastering your daily structure is the key to reinforcing discipline and unlocking your full potential. Discipline is not some abstract trait reserved for a select few. It is a skill that can be developed by consistently shaping how you organize your day. When your day is intentionally structured, discipline becomes less about willpower and more about habit, reducing the need for constant self-control. This foundation allows you to face challenges, resist distractions, and maintain steady progress without relying on motivation alone. Creating a daily structure means establishing a reliable framework that guides your actions from the moment you wake up to the moment you rest. It brings order to the chaos that can otherwise consume your attention. This order empowers you to focus on what truly matters instead of reacting impulsively or drifting through tasks. A well-designed routine aligns your behaviors with your goals and values, turning your intentions into tangible accomplishments. To reinforce discipline through daily structure, start by defining clear priorities. Know what tasks and habits contribute most directly to your growth and success. These priorities act as anchors around which your schedule is built. When your day is centered on meaningful activities, discipline feels natural because your actions resonate with purpose. It is easier to commit to a plan when you see how each part supports your larger vision. Establish consistent wake-up and sleep times. The discipline of honoring your body's rhythms strengthens your overall capacity for self-control. Consistency in rest patterns enhances energy, focus, and emotional stability. This physical foundation is essential for sustaining discipline throughout the day. When you regulate your biological clock, you reduce unpredictability and fatigue that can sabotage your efforts. Segment your day into focused blocks of time dedicated to specific activities. This approach minimizes multitasking and distractions that deplete discipline. By assigning clear boundaries to work, rest, exercise, personal growth, you create a rhythm that supports sustained attention and productivity. Structured time slots encourage commitment to one task at a time, reducing overwhelm and increasing efficiency. Incorporate rituals that signal the start and end of your work periods. Rituals, such as a brief meditation, stretching, or preparing your workspace, mentally prepare you for focused effort. They serve as cues that activate discipline by shifting your mindset into a state of readiness. Consistently performing these rituals strengthens your association between environment and action, making it easier to enter productive modes. Use planning tools to map out your day in advance. Whether a simple to-do list, a digital planner, or a time-blocking calendar, visualizing your day enhances discipline. Planning reduces uncertainty and decision fatigue, which drain mental energy needed for self-control. Knowing exactly what to do and when makes sticking to your routine more straightforward and automatic. Build in buffer times between tasks to accommodate interruptions or unexpected events. This flexibility prevents stress and frustration, which often lead to lapses in discipline. A well-paced schedule acknowledges life's unpredictability while maintaining overall structure. It balances firmness with adaptability, protecting your commitment without rigidity. Set boundaries around technology used to protect your focus. Devices and notifications are major distractions that challenge discipline. Designate specific times for checking emails, social media, and messages, rather than allowing constant interruptions. Creating tech-free zones during critical work periods reinforces your ability to sustain attention and resist temptation. Regularly review and adjust your daily structure based on what works and what doesn't. Discipline grows through reflection and refinement. By evaluating your routine's effectiveness, you identify habits or timings that weaken your resolve and replace them with better options. This ongoing optimization prevents stagnation and strengthens your commitment to improvement. Include breaks that rejuvenate your body and mind. Discipline is not about relentless work, but balanced effort. Scheduled pauses improve concentration, creativity, and endurance. Use breaks to stretch, breathe deeply, or step outside. These restorative moments recharge your focus and reduce burnout, enabling you to maintain discipline across longer periods. Develop accountability systems that encourage adherence to your structure. Sharing your plans with a trusted friend, coach, or group increases your commitment. External accountability adds a layer of motivation and support, helping you stay on track when internal discipline wanes. Accountability partners provide encouragement and constructive feedback that nurture resilience. Practice saying no to activities or requests that do not align with your daily structure and priorities. Discipline requires protecting your time and energy from unnecessary distractions. Learning to decline politely but firmly preserves the integrity of your routine and reinforces your values. This boundary setting strengthens your control over your day and reduces overwhelm. Cultivate a morning routine that sets a productive tone for the entire day, starting with intentional habits like hydration, movement, journaling, or focused breathing, creates momentum and signals your commitment to discipline. A purposeful morning routine builds confidence and anchors your day in proactive choice rather than reaction. End your day with an evening routine that promotes reflection and relaxation. Reviewing accomplishments, planning for tomorrow, and unwinding through calming activities support mental clarity and restful sleep. This closure reinforces discipline by creating a sense of completion and readiness for the next day's structure. Avoid overloading your schedule with too many tasks. Discipline thrives in simplicity. Overcommitment leads to stress and decreased effectiveness. Prioritize quality over quantity by focusing on essential activities that deliver the greatest impact. A lean, manageable plan is easier to follow and reinforces positive momentum. Track your adherence to your daily structure. Monitoring your consistency reveals patterns and obstacles. This awareness encourages honesty and self-accountability. Use insights gained to celebrate progress and address challenges constructively. Tracking fosters a growth mindset where discipline is seen as a skill developed through effort and learning. Recognize that discipline is strengthened by repetition and habit formation. The more you follow your structure, the more automatic it becomes. This automaticity reduces reliance on motivation, making disciplined action easier and more reliable. Patience in developing these routines pays dividends in long-term self-mastery. Embrace discomfort and resistance as part of building discipline. Challenges and distractions will test your commitment, but facing them strengthens your resolve. Viewing obstacles as opportunities to practice discipline transforms setbacks into growth experiences. This mindset builds resilience, essential for sustaining daily structure. Celebrate your successes in maintaining your structure. Acknowledge both big achievements and small victories. Positive reinforcement encourages continued effort and deepens your connection to disciplined living. Celebrations energize your journey and make discipline a rewarding pursuit. Understand that mastering daily structure is a dynamic process. Life changes, and so must your routines. Flexibility in adjusting your schedule ensures that discipline remains sustainable and relevant. Being open to evolution protects against rigidity and burnout. Finally, recognize that discipline built through daily structure empowers freedom. When your day is organized with intention, you gain control over your actions and time. This control allows you to pursue meaningful goals, enjoy deeper focus, and live with greater peace of mind. Mastering your daily structure is mastering yourself. Chapter 20. Celebrate consistency, not perfection or fast results. Consistency is the real foundation of lasting success and meaningful growth. It is not the speed at which results appear, nor the flawless execution that truly shapes our lives, but the dedication to keep showing up day after day. When the focus shifts from chasing perfection or quick outcomes to honoring steady effort, the entire approach to self-improvement changes. Consistency builds resilience, deepens skill, and transforms habits into lifelong strengths. Celebrating consistency means valuing the process rather than just the destination. It involves recognizing the importance of repeated actions, even when they seem small or insignificant in the moment. Each time you commit to your routine, no matter how simple, you reinforce your identity as someone who perseveres. This cumulative effect is what propels you forward and creates unstoppable momentum. Perfection is a myth that often leads to frustration and stagnation. Trying to do everything flawlessly can become a source of pressure that undermines your motivation. Waiting for the perfect moment or flawless execution frequently results in procrastination or giving up. When consistency is prioritized, mistakes and setbacks become natural parts of learning rather than reasons to quit. Accepting imperfection frees you to move forward and improve steadily. Fast results can be tempting but are rarely sustainable. Quick wins might feel rewarding initially, but often lack the depth needed for long-term change. When you focus on speed, you risk burnout, shortcuts, or incomplete growth. Consistency, on the other hand, nurtures a gradual but solid foundation that withstands challenges and evolves with you. It's the slow, steady progress that accumulates into meaningful transformation. Honoring consistency encourages patience. Real growth takes time and effort that cannot be rushed. This patient mindset reduces anxiety and stress, making your journey more enjoyable and manageable. You learn to trust the process and appreciate the subtle improvements that daily practice brings. Patience with yourself and your progress cultivates compassion and keeps you engaged through difficult periods. Recognizing small daily wins reinforces the value of consistency. These victories might not grab attention, but are crucial indicators of your commitment and growth. Celebrating these moments builds confidence and motivates you to continue. Each step forward, no matter how small, contributes to your evolving strength and skill. Consistency requires building habits that are realistic and adaptable. Habits that are too rigid or ambitious often falter. Sustainable consistency comes from creating routines that fit your life's rhythms and allow for flexibility. This balance ensures that your efforts remain steady even when circumstances change or obstacles arise. Tracking your consistency makes progress visible and tangible. Keeping a journal, checklist, or log of your daily actions helps you see how far you've come. This visibility reinforces your sense of achievement and provides motivation on days when commitment wavers. Tracking also reveals patterns that help refine your approach and improve sustainability. Mindset plays a critical role in maintaining consistency. Viewing setbacks as opportunities to learn rather than failures builds resilience. When you expect ups and downs, you prepare yourself to respond constructively instead of giving up. This perspective transforms challenges into stepping stones and keeps your momentum alive. Surrounding yourself with supportive influences strengthens your consistency. Sharing your goals and progress with others creates accountability and encouragement. Being part of a community or having a mentor provides motivation and practical guidance. Positive social connections nourish your commitment and make your journey less lonely. Developing rituals that anchor your consistency creates a sense of routine and security. Rituals act as signals that prepare your mind and body for action. These established patterns reduce resistance and decision fatigue, making it easier to maintain your efforts regularly. Over time, rituals become a natural and enjoyable part of your life. Gratitude for your consistency deepens your connection to your progress. Appreciating your dedication and the benefits it brings reinforces positive emotions associated with growth. Gratitude shifts focus from what's lacking to what's present, fostering satisfaction and sustained motivation. Avoid comparing your journey to others. Everyone's path is unique, and consistency looks different depending on goals, circumstances, and pace. Concentrating on your own steady progress prevents discouragement and helps maintain focus. Comparison often undermines confidence and disrupts the habit of showing up consistently. Celebrating consistency means embracing the reality that progress is often invisible to others, and sometimes even to yourself. The work you do behind the scenes builds strength and capability that eventually manifest in visible results. Trusting this invisible growth is essential for long-term success. Embracing humility supports consistency by freeing you from the need for external validation. When your motivation comes from within, it becomes more stable and enduring. Internal drive rooted in self-respect and commitment ensures that you persist regardless of outside recognition or immediate rewards. Balancing effort with self-care sustains your consistency. Overexertion or neglecting your well-being can sabotage your ability to maintain steady action. Prioritizing rest, nutrition, and mental health, provides the energy and clarity necessary for ongoing discipline. Caring for yourself enhances your capacity to show up consistently. Remembering your why strengthens your consistency by keeping your purpose clear. When the reasons behind your efforts are deeply meaningful, they anchor you during challenging times. This clarity guides your decisions and energizes your persistence. Reframing setbacks as temporary detours rather than failures keeps consistency intact. When obstacles arise, viewing them as part of the path helps you stay connected to your practice. This reframing reduces discouragement and encourages problem solving. Incremental improvement compounds through consistent effort. Small daily actions build upon each other, creating a powerful trajectory of growth. This compounding effect magnifies the impact of your dedication over time. Recognizing that consistency breeds mastery encourages long-term commitment. Regular practice hones your skills and deepens your understanding. Mastery brings confidence and autonomy that motivate continued effort. Celebrating consistency cultivates a mindset of progress rather than perfection. This mindset reduces fear of failure and encourages experimentation and creativity. It allows you to adapt and grow without being constrained by rigid expectations. Choosing to celebrate consistency creates a positive feedback loop. Positive emotions tied to consistent behavior increase motivation and resilience. This loop transforms discipline from a chore into a rewarding experience. In conclusion, honoring consistency rather than chasing perfection or rapid results is a powerful strategy for sustainable growth. It transforms the way you approach challenges and empowers you to build a fulfilling life through steady, intentional effort. Every day, you show up regardless of the pace or outcome. You invest in your future and deepen your strength. This commitment to consistency lays the foundation for lasting transformation and a meaningful journey of self-improvement.